This is Chris James, and this is my Army story.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. If you're on YouTube, follow on Apple and Spotify. Like, share, and comment. That would help us out a lot if you could comment. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. We are very active in those channels. If you have anybody that you would want to get on the show or you'd like to tell your own story, please hit us up and we'll send you our email to get you on. And with that, let's get into the episode. Chris James, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, brother, what's going on, Jeremy? Good to have
Hey,
you.
thank you so much for coming on, dude. I know I found you on TikTok. It's it's pretty cool, man, seeing like you older folks in the old GWOT still trying to, like, you guys are like basically telling your story of what happened in there in like short time frames, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I started doing that on TikTok probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I started getting on the TikTok and slowly putting some information about me there. But it's kind of hard on TikTok, though, because of the audience that you have on there.
Yeah.
You have such a short period of time. Do you do a 30-second video? Do you do a minute video to try to get some information out there? And it is kind of difficult, but again, to touch base with other veterans or active duty, because I was active duty at that time. I mean, I didn't really just get out until September 2025. I was medically retired.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a weird audience, I could say, about TikTok. It's very you have to find something like to engage the audience, because like me, I'm not very good at I'm good at interviewing and having a conversation, but like just talking to random folks or like random chats, it's kind of hard for me to
Oh,
do that stuff.
oh, yeah, it definitely does. I mean, then I get individuals that you never know who's messaging you back either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just really started kind of doing lives last year. I would do them at like lunch break. This was before I was out.
Yeah.
Do some kind of leadership, mentorship while I was on lunch. But again, though, you shouldn't people in your DMs, and you don't really know. You
Who
really
they
don't know
are.
who's reaching out to you. Are they real people? Are they bots? Uh,
Right.
are they trollers? You don't
Yeah.
really know. You don't know who's reaching out to you. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, leadership on the internet is very a touchy subject. I don't know if you've seen his page. He goes by the Blue Cord Sergeant Major. It's my boy Jerry. He always wants to talk about like leadership stuff, and to me it's very hard because you get a lot of disgruntled people in the military, and it's also they're always like, you're not even in anymore, so why are you even talking about it? And so I'm just like, that's why I kind of steer away from like the current generation.
Yeah.
This podcast I started, it was because I thought the soft communities podcast realm was like oversaturated. It was bloated, right? In my opinion, I feel a lot of the war was fought by the conventional, and nobody really ever talks about the heroes that were there.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, over the last what 3 years, and that's all you've seen on these other podcasts is SF, Delta, CAG, DevRu. I mean, the SEALs, which is cool. They're awesome dudes. In my career, I've worked with just about a little bit of every one of them during some time during the deployment.
Hmm.
Good people, but that's a small sample of the story that happened during 2000, two to basically 2014 when large combat scale operations stopped. I mean, let's be truthful.
Yeah,
That's kind of in 2014 when everything started to kind of slow down. It really did.
right. Yeah, I would agree with you because when I went in 12, and then I had a buddy that went in 14, it seemed like they were just kind of like doing like base security type stuff. And I know that when Donald Trump got elected the first time, I think he stopped combat patrols in Afghanistan in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
They actually kind of stopped before then. If So I was there in Afghanistan in 10/11, which was the push into RC South into Kandahar, and then we were on Kandahar. We were in the Arghandab Valley. Panjwai, and then
Yeah.
on the other side was the Helmand province where the Marines was. That was 10-11. Very kinetic. I mean, every day it was kinetic. Came back from that deployment, and I went back again in 12 and 13 when we went up to RC East.
Yeah.
In that short period of time, it would change from us partnering with the ANA to the ANA being out in the front.
Yeah.
So when I was on the 12-13, I was on an SFAT team. So we was a 13-man team advising the battalion of Afghans. So the conventional large forces that went there, they were hurting because it was like they went there to begin with and they were told, hey, no more combat, no more deployment or patrols, unless the ANA was going to do a large scale operation. If you worked with the ANA, you knew that wasn't going to happen all the time.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
I had to be that liaison to say, hey, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I mean, you're just going to sit here on your patrol base or on your fob for your deployment for a good portion of it. Inside, though, brother, after everything that I'd seen through my deployments, being on a two-way range is not all it's cracked up to be. And I would try to explain that to the younger individuals. Yeah, I mean, you're deployed. I understand you want to do what you want to do, but there's a high percentage chance when you do outside that wire in certain areas that bad stuff is going to happen.
Right. It's I'm glad you brought that up. To me, it's kind of romanticized, and I talked about this with a Marine. He's documented the Helmand province. It's very romanticized as a Joe, as a young soldier, young Marine. You want to get that CIB. You want to get that. Well, they have that combat action ribbon. Like me as a medic, I wanted to get my CMB, but I didn't know what cost it was going to have on me the rest of my life. And the older I get too, it's always that like, what was the reasoning? I did my job, right? I loved it. It was the best job I've ever had, besides being a father or a husband. But I'm talking about like real job. Like that was the best job, doing your job in real time. And it's weird, right? Because when you first get to a unit as a young private soldier, Marine, they start messing with you and like, you haven't done shit yet. You haven't done this. And then the generations just kept building it and building it. And now we have guys that are like, I want to be like those Delta operators, or I want to go to combat, get my CIB or something like that. It's romanticized,
Oh, definitely. I mean, when I first came in 2002, this was after 2001 happened. And only, I think in my company, when I first got, I didn't really pay much attention to the CIB because nobody had them when I first got there. Even though Afghanistan had just kicked off, nobody had a CIB. My first sergeant, and then eventually my platoon sergeant, Big Larry Clark, when he's the leader that kind of changed my career projection. And I think another first sergeant and the sergeant major is the only one that had CIBs before OIF 1. So it's kind of like going back to right now where you see these individuals few and far between that are having those cabs, those CIBs, those combat experiences. And some of them are, they're getting down on them because it's like, hey, you don't have your combat badge. It's just the way it is. Things stopped in 2014. You're going to have staff sergeant and sergeant first classes that don't have combat patch or CIB and stuff now. And it's okay. It is okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And then I also want to encourage the guys that haven't deployed, don't make it like your identity either. I know that like, some guys like steal valor and all that stuff. Like, oh, I did this. They'll have a patch, but they won't have like a badge, right? And they'll be like, well, I did this, that, and whatever. It's like it's part of it though. The next war is gonna come, right? But just don't be prepared for the consequences or the after action when you do deploy, and then everything that you wanted and wished for, you're gonna have to deal with it.
It is going to happen. Historically, it's going to happen. Like I said earlier, right? 2014, we kind of slowed down. Yes, we had troops in theater, but any large-scale operations kind of slowed down. Well, it's 2026, so in the next, historically speaking, something will happen.
Yeah.
And but again, I don't really wish that on anybody. I did my job though. I changed my life to come into the Army. I didn't plan on staying in the Army, but I kind of stayed in because of the brotherhood and the family that I built. I didn't need to. It's just something that I kind of enjoyed doing, and
Yeah.
then you get institutionalized in it. You enjoy doing it, but at
Yeah.
the same time, you're like,
I hate
is
it.
is this normal? It's like,
Yeah.
do I really want to deploy again? Do I really want to go through that again? I know how bad it was the first time. I know how bad it was the second time. I
Uh-huh.
know how bad the training was leading up to that. Do I
Yeah.
want to do this again? Well, the answer was yes, apparently for me. But
Eh,
uh,
Before we get into like your full story, let me ask you though, do you feel that if you joined as an infantryman and you didn't deploy or get into those direct conflicts, how would you have felt your service would have been?
I felt I was still to serve my country more than, they say that 99% or whatever it is of the nation, or 95, whatever the percentage is. I mean, I think it's 95% haven't served. Only 1% has actually seen combat or some
Yeah.
statistic like that, right? I still think that I would have eventually been okay with that. But
Mhm.
when I joined, because of after September 11th, that's the only reason I came in. My recruiter wanted me to be a commo guy and some intel dude. But I got seeing those VHS tapes and I was like, that's not what I'm leaving my life for. And that's when they showed me the 11 Bravo 11 X-ray videos. I think I would have been fulfilled eventually. Um, Eventually, I think I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
But again, that's the only reason that I joined, though.
Yeah.
I about joined in '92. I'm a little bit older than some people think, but I about joined
Yeah.
in '92. But I made it up to MEPS and was like, have my long hair down to here. Swear to God, I was a '80s and '90s grunge kid, and I was like, well, you know what, this isn't for me. That I graduated high school and started living the rest of my life until 9/11 happened. But
Yeah. Hey, you still look good for your age, man. If you're saying how old you are, man, you look good for your age, dude.
thank you. Just turned 52 last week, so
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I know. You should see my insides though; they're pretty rotten.
Okay, so you graduated high school in like 92?
93, so I was a year behind. I should have graduated in 92, but shit happens in life. So I
Yeah.
graduated in 93.
Yeah. That's the year I was born. So,
It's a good year, man.
yeah, it is a damn good year.
Good year, Doc.
What was your how was your childhood growing up?
Well, I mean, I grew up with a single mother and with two older brothers. So this would have been the late 70s or the 80s, which for a single mother back then was a different lifestyle. You were ostracized as a family, kind of really, and it was pretty rough. I mean, we were very poor. We really had no hot water. We had no heat. We had basically no air conditioning. We washed our clothes inside of a bathtub. A lot of people don't know that stuff, but yeah, that's the life that we lived. And
Mhm.
in that early part of the '80s, there were still like government food line goings around, and we would go wait to get our government cheese that was like this freaking huge, but it was delicious. So the cheese was. But so we lived pretty much poor. Lived literally beside I'm gonna say probably about 20 feet from the railroad tracks. Like literally an active railroad track was like right by our house.
Mhm.
Like, and it felt like it was going to tear the house down every time. The house probably should have been abandoned actually, but
Yeah.
we needed to live on what we lived in.
Yeah, it was
I
on
worked
Pier and
away.
Beam probably, huh?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and that was in Indiana. So I grew up in Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana. That's just on the other side of where West Lafayette, where Purdue University is. And it was kind of, it was rough. I mean, we lived down there, had to do a lot for food. Eventually, things got better towards my high school years. Uh, my two old brothers went out, started families, so it was just me at the house. I think my mom went back out in the job market some. So we started getting a little bit more money in. I had some part-time jobs that I would do, cutting grass and painting and stuff like that. So it got a little bit better during my high school years. We lived in the same place, don't get me wrong, but we still had to boil water to take showers. Or we didn't even take showers, we took baths. So you do the big tub of hot water, so you boil it. I mean, we had like one of those classic, I don't know, 3-gallon things that you'd
Mhm.
heat the water up, go take that to the bathroom, and then you mix it up half and half with hot water, cold water until you have a bath. Swear to God.
Yeah.
And that was in the 90s. Or that was in the late 80s, early 90s. We were still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I graduated in 93, brother. And then, partied a lot. Was addicted to some drugs quite a bit.
Yeah. Was it because of the area you lived in that the drugs were influenced on you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was, you know, I never got into any like needles or nothing like that. But a lot of the other drugs, the marijuana, the pills, a lot of LSD, the snow was around, but got into that lifestyle. I mean, the good thing is most of the people that I was around, they weren't really violent people. We were
Yeah.
just having a really good time making memories. All that nostalgia that you see nowadays,
Yeah.
making memories. And that was, the red Solo cup, the keggers and stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah.
So let's back it up a little bit. So 92, you almost joined the service, but
Mhm.
what stopped you? Was you were trying to live your life or the
I think I was
drugs?
still, I thought I was ready to calm down some because I started partying. I'm not going to make this up, but like around 10 or 11, I started partying already. Like every weekend I was doing something. So by the time I was in high school, a senior or getting ready to be a senior, I thought I was ready to change life,
Yeah.
move on to a different direction. I did have that enough self-awareness, like, hey, I probably need to get out of this one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
But I made it up to MEPS and did all the MEPS stuff, all the fun stuff that you do during MEPS. And that point where you got to do the duck walk and you do the old
Squat and
examination
cough.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I realized, I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm like, so got done with that. My recruiter's like, all right, what are you thinking? I was like, hey, sir, I called him sir, sorry, I can't remember this a long time ago. I was like, I'll get back with you. And I never got back with him. I just disappeared after that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How was that 10-year period though? What were you doing? Just random jobs? Did you try
So
the whole college try?
I did a little bit of college. Mainly was there at college, just like looking at the parties and stuff like that. Met my wife over there. She was going to college and she was working at a factory part time. I started doing some factory work, and I got really stuck in that type, making money quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, for a single dude making back then, I think I was making $200-300 a week. That was decent money back
That's good
then,
money. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd give my mom a little bit of rent and lived upstairs. That was pretty decent. And then I met my wife, 95. Yeah, 95. She got pregnant, had our first son in 96. And then kind of just was stuck in the factory, started working my way up the factory chain, trying to support my family to the best of my ability. Got off as I think 95 was the last time I smoked any weed or did anything,
Yeah.
really, because I had to clean up. I had to get a haircut and get a real job, like seriously, because I
Yeah.
wasn't going to let my family not getting taken care of. So I did that for that time frame, worked in factories, worked my way up the echelons of that through, working on the factory floor, realizing that another significant emotion event is like, I didn't want to do that shit the rest of my life either, though. Like, cause it was like hard factory work. It wasn't like I just went in and pushed a button stuff. We were doing manual labor. So I built trailers, dry freight and freezer trailers. You see them go down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that goes into that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just build one a day. We build like 20 of those a day. So it's a nonstop, like an assembly line for an automobile, but for a 55-foot trailer.
Yeah.
If you'd imagine. So
Yeah. That sounds.
now my second son in 98
Yeah.
and kind of live life from there.
Yeah. So obviously you spoke about the 9/11 thing kind of made you join. Was it ever floating in your mind before that?
It actually was, because I was at that point in my life where I'm thinking I got to do something different.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't, even though I worked my way up to like a supervisor role inside the factory, a leadership role, I was still thinking, man, I cannot do this for another. At that time, I was 27, 26, 27. It's like, man, I can't do this for another 35, 40 years of this shit, you know?
Yeah.
So I was already thinking of which direction I'm going. I thought about the military again, but then I was thinking, man, I'm too old for that. I
Yeah.
really was thinking that. But then I was thinking other stable type jobs. I actually thought about doing police. That would have freaked people out too, right? Especially the life that I lived in the late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s. If Chris James was a police officer, people would have been like, what the hell? But I did actually think about it. Those wheels were already turning on where I was going to go, my next direction in life.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened and kind of set it in stone. And 9/11 happened. And then September 13th is when I went to recruiter's office. That was my son's birthday. I actually went to Marine recruiter first. And the Marine recruiter's like, dude, you're too old. I was 27. It's like, okay. I come out of the Marine recruiter's office and you hear that story before. There's the Army recruiter just waiting. I remember him, Sergeant First Class Eric Hearns. Good dude. And he's like, hey, man, so you want to join the Army? Like, let's talk. So, and then from there, it's history. So it took me a little bit to get in. It took me like probably about 5 or 6 months extra because I had to get like a waiver and stuff.
Yeah.
Get in. I had childhood asthma like when I was like 10 years old. So I had to go do all that stuff.
Right.
They weren't just putting people in at that time still.
Yeah. It's funny, that story, like the Army's always there, but the Army always needs the largest amount of recruits per station and per recruiter. So that's why they're always available in there.
Yes. You don't know that until you come in though, right?
Dude,
you don't realize, you kind of, even though my dad was in the Army, my uncle was in the Army or Air Force. They never really talked about it, their time frames, but you never really know about it because when you see stuff on TV and you're not educated, you think everybody's equal. Then you go there and realize, damn, the Army is huge.
Yeah.
Comparatively, especially when you think about the Marines and the Navy and even the Air Force. We're a gigantic force.
Yeah. I think I remember I took my cousin to the recruiter one time, and the way that recruiter explained it was like, we have our own like commissary and PX. We could self-sustain our own selves. And I'm like, damn, I never really thought about it like that, dude. Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at Fort Campbell, the 101st Airborne, I'm sure there's other bases like it, right? But Campbell is huge, huge, huge.
Yeah.
Of all the individuals that you have at Campbell, all the combat brigades, then you have 5th Group there, and then you have the 160th there, So you have all the living stuff that you need there, but you also have elementary school through high school on Fort Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crazy.
Your family doesn't need to, if they don't need to, they don't need to leave, right? I mean,
right. Okay, so 2001, you how old were you? Probably like
27.
27.
Yeah.
You saw the towers fall. What was your first instinct? What was going on in your head?
It was a different time back then, right? So I didn't really get to see the towers fall because I was inside the factory working.
Mm-hmm.
So and then we didn't have cell phones and all that stuff wasn't a thing. It's hard to believe, but it really wasn't a thing. So we're getting information though, of course, from individuals who are working up in the office. It's like, hey, America's under attack, that they're attacking the White House, or the Pentagon's going down. And then I finally, sometime around lunchtime, I was able to call my wife, and then she came and dropped off lunch, and she's like, this kind of telling me, and then I'm listening over the AM or FM radio, whatever it was. It's just kind of, taking all that stuff in. But then when I got home, my wife had actually recorded the news stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was VHS tape still.
Yeah.
So I started watching some of the VHS tape stuff. Even though the news was still on, I actually watched it. And I was like, I had that internal drive of this is wrong and I need to do something about it. I need to help stand up for my country in the best way that I possibly could. That kind of was that moment of rage. And then I need to do something. I think at that time, I know you were still kind of young, but the sign, the feeling of patriotism that just came out in countrywide.
Mm-hmm.
We lost over 3,000 people there, and it was attack on our nation's capital.
Yeah.
I felt like I really needed to step up and serve my country in some way or another.
Yeah, I think I've seen it a lot. They don't want another September 11th, but a lot of people want another September 12th, and because that's where everybody came together. It didn't matter your differences, and like you
Man,
said, patriotism.
that was well. So I mean, that's perfect though. I mean, because nobody wants another September 11th. But I'd like the whole month of September after that. It was, it wasn't just one day. It was a pretty good month after that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling patriotism and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Then was back to reality after that, but
yeah,
it took a while. Though. I mean, it was instilled in the country for quite some time. I'm going to say probably until Iraq kicked off.
mm-hmm.
Then everything started changing again.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was a okay? So you joined the army, and right away you were like, "Hey, I want to go to infantry. I want to go fight
yeah,
these guys."
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the recruiter tried to show me, he wanted me to do because he got to know my family over, the 5 or 6 months that I was still waiting to get in. So he got to know my wife and my kids, and was like, man, I'd like you to do this when you get up to MEPS or whatever, and you go to watch your videos. He already had like 3 or 4 set out for me for the MEPS NCO, which I watched him. I was like, that's not why I'm leaving my family. I'm like, he's like, so what do you think? And I was like, here you go again. It's like that basic cool. I want to do the cool guy stuff. I mean, where's the people running around with paint on their face? And so
Yeah.
so he showed me the 11 Bravo 11 X-ray VHS tapes, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Got that. Signed off on that. He comes and picks me up at the end of the day. Sergeant Hearns did, and he's like, all right, what you do, man? I was like, I did 11 Bravo, Sergeant. And he was like, man, he blasted me right in the shoulder. Like blasted me, like punched me, literally punched me in the shoulder. And I was like, that fucking hurt. And he said, and then he was just walking around in a circle for like probably 30 seconds. I didn't know why right now, but he was thinking about my family in the long term.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, let's go get some Taco Bell, head back home. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. So when did you leave to basic training?
January. I got there January 2nd of 2002.
Okay. How was it? You're what was it?
Well,
you're a little bit older.
I was older, so when I got there, by the time I'd already got there, we'd already got the mixed group of individuals. So we'd already had kind of a larger, the old man group had started showing up, my age, 27 and higher, started coming in, but we still had like half and half of 18, 19-year-olds in there at the same time. For me, the hardest part was cardio.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't done cardio I love playing basketball, but pickup basketball is nothing like running 4 miles.
Yeah.
So that was kind of hard. And then physically, I was still physically a pretty strong person. I'm 6'2". I roll around between different times. About 210, 215. I was very strong. I worked in the factories. The cardio, man, was that was terrible. And then another thing real quick, individuals that did not know how to shut their freaking mouth.
Oh yeah.
Like, are you not tired of getting smoked?
Yeah.
You were getting all of you know how it is. You get the whole company smoked. It's not like you and your battle buddy. There's a few of these guys that got us smoked for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up, man. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, that was definitely.
How hard is it? Stand at parade rest. By the end of the first week, if you don't know how to stand parade rest, what the fuck, man? Yeah. I'm telling you, brother, that was frustrating.
I can imagine. I know. That was me. I used to argue with this guy. He was like 24, 25. But honestly, I just didn't think physically it was hard. And I don't know. Maybe as I joined at 18, so I think that I needed that in my life to.
Yeah. Well, we had some older people that couldn't know how to keep their mouth shut. There were some younger kids too. And again, I mean, because I know smoking is a smoking, right? But I still had the 90s, 80s and 90s NCOs that
Yeah.
were our drill sergeants. They still were in that older mindset. I mean, I don't know if you know what uh-huhs are.
Mm.
So you grab your Kevlar up, you guys all line on the line, and you lay on your back, and you raise your head up off the ground with your K-pot on.
No, I've never done that before.
With your feet elevated at the
Yeah.
same time.
That's a good one, man. So if anybody ever wants
That's
to smoke somebody,
don't do it. You'll be ending people's career later in life. So freaking cervical damage and stuff like that. But it was torture, And,
yeah. So what are they kind of? So did you enlist as an 11 Bravo?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it was 11 X-ray still. They had I think that's the period when they had just switched to 11 X-rays. So you would come in because at that time, there was no more 11 mics or 11 hotels.
Right.
They had just stopped them, I think, a year or two before I got there.
For sure. Okay, so when you finish basic, does that when they tell you you're a Bravo or a Charlie?
During the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere in the middle before you're getting towards the end of basic, because ours was the whole 16 weeks at once, if I remember right back then. It's either 14 or 16.
Yeah.
I've had a few concussions in my life, so
yeah,
I think it was 16 weeks. But somewhere before the 9th week, that's when we would find out. If somebody they would just pull some guys out. Hey, go talk to this NCO here, and that's when they found out they were going to be Chucks, 11 Charlies.
Yeah.
And then after basic, and then we started doing our advanced training. That's when they would take them to do their 11 Charlie training and stuff like that. Because after basic, after the 9th week, that's when we started doing our advanced training, which was more of the same infantry training. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that really got advanced training. We just did the same shit.
Mm-hmm. When you were at your the infantry school, were you kind of already knowing what kind of unit you wanted to go to? Was there
I already knew that.
ones?
So I already picked the 101st Fort Campbell.
So you picked that.
I had that choice. That was I was able to get that option of picking they weren't throwing away bonuses at that time. So I was able to get my station of choice. So I picked Campbell. I started looking at the options for one thing, but as an infantry dude, Doc, you know that you don't get very many options.
Yeah.
I mean,
needs of the
married.
Army.
Yeah, needs of the Army. But I mean, really, think about all the places you have: Campbell, Bragg, Carson,
yeah,
Fort Drum, Korea. I mean, there weren't there's some other places, but not very many. But also too with the family and stuff like that, and my mom was still alive and my dad was still alive. Brothers are up there, so that's one reason why I picked Fort Campbell too, is because it still was only like a 5.5 hour drive back home. So when we did get weekends and stuff, or long weekends, and we could just drive up to the home and visit all the family that was still up there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I knew some of the history of the 101st. So
right. Okay, so you get to Campbell. What is so you do your in processing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you already kind of like have it in your mind, like what it was going to be like?
Yeah, it was nothing like it. So, I mean, I'm coming from a supervising role. My eyes kind of started lightening up inside basic, realizing that the Army it's not a well-oiled machine. Let's be true.
It's government, man.
It's government, right? I mean, until you work in it, you don't know.
Yeah.
But I get there, and I fell underneath a good platoon, thank goodness. So we were treated like grown adults or grown men still. There was another platoon that didn't treat their new people out of basic like that. They literally would make them stand on the line for like a week getting smoked outside the platoon door and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thank God, because I probably would have lost it. You wouldn't be interviewing me right now, because I would have lost it. It's like I already went through 16 weeks of that. So I fell underneath some good leadership, but realizing how we run the day. And I also fell onto a company that, man, we were very old school to a certain extent. Our first sergeant had us doing the 630 formation, the 9 o'clock, which became the 9:30 formation eventually because we started doing 2 hour and a half of PT. So we would do 9, 6:30, 9:30 formations, 1300 formation, and the end of day formation, 1630, 1700 every day.
That's how he's putting information out.
Yeah, and you know how that goes again. Realize that, right? Hey, well, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for the word. What's the word? I know what the word's going to be. The word's going to be tomorrow, same time, same place, same uniform. We're not going out and raiding Pancho Villa's outside the gate. So, I mean, let's go. And that's where, again, though, but that's, I realized quickly, I think because I was mature enough, I had enough leadership from the civilian world, because some of that stuff interchanges. Granted, there's not lives on the lines, but you'll know how to lead and treat people as adults.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you a question.
Right beside us, the morale was high, and our morale was like way down here. Well, they weren't doing 6 formations a day. So
yeah, let me ask you a question. So since you went through that like formation type, what was easier to communicate, do you think? Doing something like that, or like the mass amount of emails and text messages you would get?
I like the formations over that, but
yeah,
but there's no need for 6 formations, or I'm being kind of carried away, but the 4 formations a day, come on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's where you need to be able to use your leadership. You have platoon sergeants and PLs in a position for a reason.
Yeah,
utilize those as senior leaders. You've already given them a task for the week, right? Or a task for the day. You reach out to the platoon sergeants. Are you all good? Has this changed? So on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, I'm more of the formation guy when it comes to that certain thing. Or key leaders to stay behind and get that information out. That's why you have platoon sergeants. That's why you have squad leaders. That's why you have team leaders. And when you're in those positions, right, you get extra pay. You have extra responsibility with that extra pay and that extra rank.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. So I don't know. Man, the emails though, and all the freaking group chats and all that stuff, man,
the WhatsApp.
Man, my God, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it seemed like, so when I did my time on staff, or when I became a staff sergeant, it was like everything became a priority. Everything. It was like the 3-shop could not differentiate what was a priority.
Yeah. And I think that comes down to who's in charge of your 3-shop. I think that really comes down to who's in charge. I've worked for some leaders that make you want to go over the deep end, and I've worked with leaders that you would follow them to the ends of the earth.
Yeah,
and those leaders that follow you, that you want to follow to the end of the earth, they also have a well-oiled machine. Of like, hey, I'm putting out this guidance, XO, 3-shop, you're right. You make sure you're organizing your shit straight. Here's my top priorities. How do we execute them? These are I mean, you have 10 missions from brigade. Are all 10 a priority? They're not.
Yeah.
What's the brigade commander's priority, but then what's my priority? And hopefully they align with each other.
Yeah. So okay, so you get your platoon's pretty good, it's mature. You're doing the Army thing, a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
What is like training like? Because obviously they don't know that y'all are gonna deploy or anything. So what is training like?
I mean, we were still in the old school mindset of training. So, large scale forces and stuff like that. So my NCOs were still from the my seniors were still from the 80s. Then my team leaders are from the 90s NCOs. So we were in that mindset of a large scale training, but it was very well regimented. We were very well trained. Like I felt we were highly trained to go do missions.
Yeah.
Granted, the missions change once you finally get over there, right? But I felt we were really trained. I mean, again, we had a great platoon sergeant. I mean, and he'd been there and done that before. So he had actually had experience of doing that. Actually, when he first came in, he was a medic. And then after the Gulf, so when he went over to the infantry land, so he had his CFMB. That's to say, I think he had a CFMB.
EFMB.
EFMB. He had a CFMB. No, I think he had a CFMB because I think
they had the other one's a CMB, the combat
CMB
badge. Yeah.
I think he had that too. I think he had anyways, that's a different story. But the training was good though. I mean, it was hard. Don't get me wrong, because
Nobody wants to do it.
Nobody wants to do it. And then when we trained though, it was good though, because when you trained back then, there was none of the freaking cell phones and shit. There was no distractions.
Yeah.
Your family knew that you was going to be training for a week, 14 days, even though you're in the back 40. There was no distractions. So you would go out there for your 14 days in the back 40 at Fort Campbell and focus on basic rattle drills, old school. Again, we hadn't started, really. We did CQB and stuff like that, but there wasn't no coin fighting and stuff like that at that time. So we still did that large scale stuff, go to JRTC mindset. Pretty good overall. And but again, I think my leaders made it what it was.
Right. Yeah. It's important. I know that, I mean, like I said, nobody really wants to train. It's especially when you're a young soldier, right? Like you're like, damn, this sucks. But they don't really understand, right? They don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, and that's important for the leaders, right? That what is it called? Give purpose, motivation, direction, right?
Yes, and at that time too. So I mean, Afghanistan had kicked off, but Afghanistan wasn't oversaturated.
Yeah,
and that was in 2002. So Iraq was not. It wasn't at people's. Okay, it wasn't down to our level of people talking about it.
Yeah,
somebody was talking about it, but down at Bravo Company 2502, second
at the
brigade,
battalion,
yeah, we were. That wasn't like there wasn't whispers.
Yeah,
until right at the beginning of that when 2003 hit. Then it was like, hey, there's stuff going on.
Right. So when do you find out you're going to Iraq?
March 2003. So we had like literally like
72 hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a little more than 72 hours. It was like 30 days. So I guess it would have been middle of February. So it would have been the middle of February. So we had about a 30-day notice. We came, went to work, whatever it was, came back the next day. And there was a note on the back of every company door. Hey, within 30 days, you'll be going to a non-specified location into the Middle East, blah, blah, blah. Prepare your shit. It was more, it was more professional than that, but yeah, that's pretty much, it was quick though, after we found out.
Right. Yeah. 30 days is quick.
Yeah, it's real quick. I mean, especially if you've never done it before. But we'd already checked all those boxes of training and all that other stuff, though. I mean, we'd already done that. I think we went out and qualified one more time or re-zeroed our weapons. And then, of course, we did it again once we got to Kuwait again in MOP gear.
How were you preparing your family, man? Like, because like we never, I would say but the military really hasn't been in a major conflict like what you're about to go experience right now. How are you getting them in the mindset?
I don't know that we did. I mean, I really don't. I don't think, nobody was, other than my platoon sergeant, but he was single at that time when he had deployed to, Gulf War. He had done some other smaller deployments, of course, because he was long-range reconnaissance most of his career. Our first sergeant didn't really give us any guidance.
Yeah.
So I don't really think we really did prepare, brother. I think it was, we're pulling this shit out of our ass right now. And how do we best prepare the family? FRG. Well, if you don't get along with the FRG, you're screwed. So I don't think there was much preparation. So, but with that 30-day notice, though, I think it was probably better because there wasn't time to think about it.
I think it's good too because we don't really know what you're about to experience either, right? Like, yeah, you got some stuff going on in Afghanistan, but I think with OIF 1 and 2, and then later on with the middle of Afghanistan, like those 07 to 13 guys, like you don't really know what it's like. So it's not scary or anything right now. You're like, it could just be like the Desert Storm where it's like 30 days, it's over, Yep.
The 100-hour war. Yeah. It could have been, right?
Right. So, okay. So you guys go to Kuwait. What's the talk?
Well, that was miserable. I mean, that was miserable because there was no communication over there. Our living conditions were terrible in Kuwait. So we get there, we're living at these little camps on the outskirts of the Iraq-Kuwaiti border. I'm sure you've heard about those stories. I think we were staying in Camp New York. It's basically concertina wire in a circle and a battalion living inside Bedouin tents.
Yeah.
No air conditioning.
Just
Man,
suck.
it was miserable. We had like 4 porta shitters for a battalion. They eventually got us some more. Like, I'm not lying, like 4 porta shitters for a battalion size. So that our battalion was like 450 dudes.
That's terrible.
It was miserable. And then we had like 6 showers at the same time. It was miserable, brother. And then sometime in there, I think about 4 days before March 19th, we got the put your mop gear on. And, you know, other than the, you know, the gloves and the pro mask and the boots, mop 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah. What was y'all's loadout like going in? Like, what did they tell you how many rounds you had to carry?
So we had full,
pack an MRE?
Yeah, we had a full basic load. I think we had 3 MREs stripped down and stuff like that. Our rucksacks were like 150 pounds. Ridiculously, no need to be that freaking heavy type stuff. And it was so good when we dropped off our rucksacks, when we finally was able to get rid of our rucksacks. Of course, fully loaded. I was in a gun team at the time. I was the AG. And, you know, we were rolling with, you know, I carried like all ammo. We were only a 2-man gun team. We weren't a 3-man gun team. So me being a big dude, they're like, hey, you're going to carry more weight, James. It's like, really? Appreciate that. So I think we, you know, 1,200 rounds or whatever it was that we had. And I carried the majority of that. And then my own 5.56 at the same time, right?
Right.
I carried my max load out of that. But ridiculously heavy for no reason at all. And then it was miserable. And then you throw on the mop gear on top of that.
Yeah.
It was God, I keep saying that, but that was miserable. And then just the stink of yourself already.
Yeah.
You know, coming up your mop suit.
Yeah, it's crazy to hear these stories of you guys that like were in the invasion. Like, it is not it's not like how I deployed, you know, hey, this is all you need, this is all you're gonna need. Like, they didn't know how long or whatever was gonna go on, dude. It wasn't like, oh, you're not gonna need that, you know, we're gonna turn around real quick. But it wasn't like that.
No, it was
somebody knew though.
We were prepared for our long term, of course, you know. Again, I think we had like 3 MREs in our because we had our assault packs too. We didn't just have our rucks. So we had our assault pack, which was a heavy loadout, and then like the 7 MREs inside of our rucksacks, and then like our 20,000 pairs of clothes that we had, you know, extra uniforms and socks and stuff like that. That's one thing you should next time bring more socks. Never could bring enough socks. Didn't realize that. But we were crazy loaded out. And that was literally, we were preparing that week before when we got the first warnings. Hey, bad stuff's about ready to happen.
Right.
And you actually just put us on the border in a C-wired base. We didn't have any sandbags up or nothing. You know,
the vehicles weren't armored or nothing.
No, we didn't have none of that stuff. Light infantry, we didn't have none of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys get the word to push in to Iraq. What so what do you guys? So you nervous?
So what we
How
did?
do you feel?
Oh, yeah, we was really nervous. I mean, because by the 2 nights prior to that, I mean, we'd already been attacked during the middle of the night. A few times, you know, we had the rocket sirens and coming off, but a couple times during the middle of the night, there was Scud missiles that was shot over our bases. Like, and you talk about an explosion going completely through your body, and this is reality. Literally 2 o'clock in the morning, a big flash of light in the sky, and you hear a large thunderous explosion. You could literally see the ripples just going through where the tents were. That's reality sets in. It's like, oh shit, we're not in Kansas anymore. This is some serious shit's about ready to happen. And then we loaded up. Of course, you've probably seen the stuff at the 101st. We didn't have our birds ready at the time. So our birds were still stuck at the Kuwaiti port. So that's why we didn't fly in along with 3rd ID, because our original mission set, we were supposed to go advance and go into Baghdad International ahead of and secure that as 3rd ID was rolling up at the same time. Well, it didn't happen that way because our birds were not off at the port of Kuwait yet. So I think it was March 19th when all that stuff kicked off. And then we were on half tons.
Yeah.
At that time, our company got called to do a emergency mission. We were doing a FARP mission up to FARP Exxon. We were escorting fuel
Yeah.
So it was a 16-hour GAC in the back of a half tons with all of our gear, and we did not stop. And you could see hell's fury going off in the distance.
Mhm.
We didn't stop. At nighttime, it was the same thing. You see all the lights and explosions. We stop in the middle of the nighttime because, see people getting in contact off to the distance. Is that shit coming towards us? Because we were pretty vulnerable. There's only us infantry company, but we were escorting fuel.
Yeah.
Tankers of fuel to get up to that FARP so Third ID could refuel. And not really much happened there other than it was miserable, and the intense feelings that was like, this is getting real. And then seeing all the shit going off into the distance, the real world explosions.
Mm-hmm. So for people that are watching, FARP is fuel ammo resupply, I think.
Yes.
Point. So what they do is, I know that they also have ammunition because there's the ammo person.
Yes.
Sometimes they have food. But it's a very important thing, especially with moving pieces of the battle.
I had no idea at the time. I was PFC James. I mean, I had at that time I'm just helping my gunner out. I didn't carry my own shit, but I didn't really get into the full intricacies. Hey, we're going to FARP Exxon. All right, let's go.
They even do like stuff for the helicopters too. So
they do. There was helicopters out there. There was they were doing the maintenance on helicopters out there. There was actually a couple helicopters that were that had to be secured out there at the same time because there were some mechanical issues with them. And we were there, got up there, like I said, 16 hours. They were supposed to come pick us up the next day. Well, this happened a lot in my company and career. You're supposed to be there 2 days. A week later, you're still there type stuff.
Yeah.
Literally out in the desert, just dying. Are you guys ever coming to get us?
Yeah.
Good thing they brought the helicopters in to come get us, so we didn't have to drive anymore really after that.
So when do you get in like your first like tick?
That would have been sometime, shortly into that time. We had small. So in the beginning of Iraq, there was a lot of small engagements. We didn't get any of the the large scale ones because we were kind of just behind. So we were catching some of the squirters and stuff. Probably when we first were coming over, there was a bridge. I can't remember where it was at. Again, I was PFC James. South of Kabbalah, there was Anna Jeff, I think it was. There was some individuals. We got the word we were going to do another late night mission. We drive across the bridge. Got an Abrams in front of us. The Abrams just takes off. Again, this is Dark 30. Takes across this bridge, and it just leaves us in the dust. PFC James in the back with 1,000 rounds of ammo. I'm running behind everybody, because they're all starting to pull away from me. We got our mop gear on. There's some contact going off over there and stuff like that. Some individuals engaging, but we get across the bridge, and there was a guy just sitting there that I think our first squad got to, and thank God he was asleep because that bridge was wired to blow. Like we just ran across that whole bridge that was literally wired to blow. And that's why the Abrams took off like a bat out of hell and got across there. So, but there were some small ticks all throughout that stuff that were like, it happened pretty quick to realize that, oh shit, we're in a real life situation.
Right.
It's like we're going another mission shortly after that. We get the call for the battalion. There's across the bridge there, Al Hindaya. There was an area up there. I'm thinking some of the, the names may be a little bit off, but again, I got some combat memory loss and some concussions that happened. But another bridge, brother. I had some very trauma with bridge. But this was during broad daylight.
Yeah.
So across the bridge, you hear the Kiowas lighting up this big building, government building over there. It's like, hey, we're getting the intel. There's a 50 cal's nest over there. Some snipers. You can hear the snipers coming shooting while we're sitting there kind of in formation. This is when it really, really got real. So we're sitting there all gathered up, and battalion commander comes to us. We hadn't seen the battalion commander for a little bit because this was all, hey, over the net, Bravo company, you're going here, Alpha company, you're going here. Well, the battalion commander showed up, brings us all in, starts giving us this speech, and then the chaplain comes.
Yeah, you know it's ready. Yep.
I'm telling you, we're all looking at each other. Me and my battle buddy Frizz, he's the gunner. I was like, they're fucking bringing the chaplain out. Like, it's serious when you're bringing the chaplain, and we're like, oh my goodness. I had a couple cigarettes before we went over. Then I didn't even smoke anymore. But he gave us like a 5-minute sermon. That's when we're like, oh shit, I need to find Jesus real quick again.
Yeah.
He's came and went out of my life a few times, but I need to find him this time. And it was a similar thing. We go over, start to cross that bridge. They start engaging across there. The Kiowa's the Kiowa's lighting up again as we're going off. It's great to have that kind of support by fire. We're going across, and again, the fucking platoon starts to speed away. They start to pick up that pace, and I'm like, God damn.
Yeah. You're like, damn, communication, huh?
And we're at the back of the gun team. We're at the back. I was like, shit, they're starting to pull away from me again. And then as I'm running through, because on the back side of that bridge to where the big government building was, they had anti-tank mines ran all across that. So we're literally running right through the anti-tank mines. I'm like, man, I'm going to fucking die right here.
Yeah.
Battle buddy's not even close to me. They're running away from me and shit. I was pretty good in shape at the time, but adrenaline only takes you so far. That took me through that first part of the leg of the bridge, but they have some long bridges over in Iraq. It's like,
yeah,
adrenaline dumps comes real quick too. And then we finally secured that building, broke down the 1,000 doors that we would open up in there. You could probably seen some of those old videos of those doors smashing and stuff.
Yeah,
with the hooligan tools. And that's when it was kind of good to be in a gun team, because we would go to the roof kind of instantly and provide overwatch. So we spent a lot of time, providing that support by fire, and then the overwatch at the same time. So, that first part of it was pretty kinetic. There were small ticks that happened. There wasn't, you're getting shot at type stuff. You're only able to engage a little bit.
Right.
Because most of the times you can't see anything anyways. And if you've been even inside the city areas, because all that stuff ended up becoming up city operations. It was hard to see anything.
What I've gathered from a lot of people that went to Iraq, it was like they'd spray you and then they'd run away or something like that, right?
It was like that. It was like that all the time. For a good portion of the time, in different locations, it was like that, especially if they had the buildings and stuff like that. It really was like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So the I guess the quote unquote ending of the first war of it was in May, right? Like this when Bush was like, "Hey, we're done."
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys still staying over there, or were you tasked to stay?
We were tasked to stay. We told we were going home, but then we were tasked to stay. So because we're being on 101st, there was other people that was priority to go home. Because there was some third ID and some other ACRC, or third ACR was there like 6 months ahead of us in Kuwait. So we get that word, is like, okay, you guys are staying. And by that time, I think that part of May, I think we had got down to Fallujah by that time, because we had pushed through a whole bunch of stuff at that time. And let me take it back a little bit. So I think it was in April. I'm gonna tell you this. You ever seen those, like the movies where you have the little star cluster moments and troops are out in the open type stuff?
Yeah.
I had that moment, and that was when real reality kind of set in. We were doing a mission. We got called. I think this was April and going into May. So there were still some individuals out there. We're going down. We're going to take down these snipers that are in these buildings, and the scouts have eyes on them. Another dark mission. We're carrying all of our weight, walking across these fields, and we moved like 1,200 clicks, and it was slow. And I'm just feeling sorry for myself at this time, because again, I'm carrying all this weight. I'm walking through all this rough ass field.
Suck it.
My squad leader's like, James, come on. I was like, it's hard. I was like, I'm fucking trying, And then next thing you know, that's when that star cluster goes off, and I'm like, we're dying. Again, that's when fucking James is like, we're dying. I just literally fell on my back, fell into the potato field. I'm waiting for, grazing fire to go over us. Thank God nothing happened.
Just feeling
So
bad for yourself.
just feeling bad for myself. So we lay down there for like another 10 minutes. All right, hey, get up, let's move. And we start moving again. And all right, we're doing it again. Literally another 10 minutes later, another star cluster goes off. Again, I fall down, laying there in the field, think, oh my God. Nothing happened again. Thank God. Other than my squad leader getting my ass, it's like, James, why are you taking so long? And I was like, sorry, are you fucking serious? It's like, I got 1,000 rounds of ammunition of 7.62 on me, plus my loadout of 5.56. That's all you were carrying right now is your loadout of 5.56. I'm surprised I ever made any rank, because there was a few times when I've kind of just like snapped and was like, you guys aren't doing shit. So anyways, we made it up to the building and started fighting support by fire on that building. And this is like when you kind of see that whole stuff going in the actions. We're just got the support by fire on. Our first squad's going up with our platoon sergeant, breaching the wire, going in. This is like in Iraq, breaching in the building, going in, taking down the building. We're doing our shifting of fires on that building. And ended up coming out. Everything worked out good on that building. But then we had to walk back. So made it up into there. Sorry, I had to tell that a little bit short.
No, you're good, dude. A lot of people, they don't talk about the shitty moments, right? Like, damn, man, I'm just carrying because even me, man, I remember as a medic, man, we were getting pinned down a lot in Afghanistan, and I ended up carrying like an additional mortar round or whatever, it's just things that you have to do, right? Like, you're not really thinking about the mission. You're thinking about like, damn, man, this sucks, dude. Like, it is terrible, especially when, like, I know we got rid of we didn't even have an AG for the 240 gunner, like, because I deployed when they were like having small units. So it's yeah. But okay, so when you continue into Iraq, is it getting like, is the ROE dropping? What is it? What is it like?
ROE, it kind of started adjusting some, right? It was more of like, it wasn't wait until they shoot you. That was on a different deployment, wait till they shoot at you type deployment. But I mean, ROE definitely switched. We were able to take off our mop gear finally. That was just freaking awesome. We realized that we were staying in Iraq, which was not awesome. But we got down to Fallujah. We made it up to Mosul. We get the call from our company again. We got a lot of calls for our company. Hey, you're going to go down to this place called Fallujah. It's like a 5x5 city. And you need to go help. I think it was 3rd ACR was there. You're going to help them do a relief in place because 3rd IZ is coming back up from Kuwait. So we get down there, brother, and we land down there, and we're going to do our first kind of patrol looking through the city. So think about this. This was late May of 2003. And at that time, we had some stuff happen, but most of the people, when they finally came out, were friendly other than the bad guys. But when we got through Fallujah, brother, it was like nobody is waving at us. Like the hair on our neck was just like everybody. It's like, this is not the same place that we had just pushed all the way up through and got to Mosul. Because they kind of hated us at Mosul too for the short period of time. Because at Mosul, I think some Marines, there was an engagement where they killed 15 protesters or something in April of 2003 or something like that.
Yeah.
And, so similar had happened in Fallujah. There were some protesters, and I think it was 82nd and 3rd ACR had killed some protesters in Fallujah. Well, we didn't know that. We didn't know that. I mean, there's no hey, media. You guys need no, I mean, there's no media, and there's no like, hey, intel, you guys need to prepare because this is what had happened a week prior. Damn, that would have been nice to know for one thing, but there wasn't much intel on Fallujah at the time. Other than, I think that's 3rd ACR is being relieved. 3rd ID was supposed to be coming up. And we're going to go as a 101st, a company, we're going to go in and look at this city. I mean, we're not just going to sit on the outside of it at this little place called Dreamland, which was a resort. I know you've done some podcasts with some individuals that have been there. There's a place called Dreamland. It was on the outskirts of Fallujah. We stayed there, but we would go inside the city. And then actually we lived inside of a bank inside the Fallujah for a little while. But we realized quickly, though, that place is different. there's a lot of shit going on. I think in that first 4 or 5 days, we found numerous weapon caches. I could tell that nobody liked us at all. And then I think it was June 5th. I actually was sitting out on that mission. I didn't make it out. I had fucked my neck up. And first platoon, they went down and they were down near the bank area. And they got hit with an RPG. And that's when we lost Oberleitner. He was hit with the RPG. He was KIA. And there was a few others, about 7 others that were wounded pretty bad. Schrode lost his arm. And they were pinned down in the ambush. That's when we realized, oh, this shit's real.
Mm-hmm.
They had tried to get a hold of 3rd ACR to come and help them out, but 3rd ACR wouldn't come in. But at that same time, 3rd ID had finally made it up to outside the skirts. And Sergeant Major Gallagher, he was the 3rd ID, I think a brigade sergeant major. He pulled their tracks off that weren't on there, brought in their tracks into the city, helped them guys secure the area and get out of there with the casualties. I remember that. And, I wouldn't have made a difference if I was there because it was 1st platoon, but the rest of my 2nd platoon had went down there at that time.
Yeah.
The majority of them went down there. And that's when another reality moment is like, we just lost our first individual.
Mm-hmm.
19-year-old, Specialist Oberleitner, good dude. Everybody loved Dobie. And then the other that were wounded in action and Schrode. That's when some more of that reality goes in. And then General Petraeus came down, I think about 3 days later, because he was our division commander. So he came down from Azul. And what he wanted to do, so you think about this, things that happened to lead up to Fallujah made it to Fallujah. So he made it down there, and that happened June 5th. 4 days later, he comes down because we got called back to the Dreamland and it's like, hey, 101st, you're not going out for a while because you're not going to have no cowboys inside the city.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No,
we were ready to go.
Yeah.
So he comes down, starts talking to us. He wanted to bring the rest of our battalion back down, to Fallujah, work with 3rd ID, secure the city then. This would have been in June of 2003, but he was only our division commander at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't his AO. He didn't have overall ranking authority like later deployments, right? Well, somebody shot that down. We stayed down there another month. That was another mission that was only supposed to be a week. Anyways, we make it back up to Mosul. Moved into a burned out bus station in Mosul. Made the best area that you could in a burned out bus station, living in the city of Mosul.
So when you finally get done with that deployment, how do you feel? Because you were there probably like a year.
Yeah, we were there a year.
Yeah, how do you feel? Because you were a young soldier. I mean, you're not like young in the army. You're coming back, and you just did your first like real deployment as an infantryman. Hey man, you're probably like a specialist with a CIB, man. It's not very common during that time.
Well, I mean, it wasn't common, but it was common because we had all just got our CIBs.
Yeah,
because we'd all been through at that time we'd all been through something. There would all been ticks or engagements.
Mm-hmm.
So we all came back with our CIBs.
Mm-hmm.
I think even the younger dudes that came kind of during the end of our deployment.
Yeah.
I think because we had been through stuff that they had already got their deployments to. I think it was processing everything that you had just seen in the last year and realities, the finality of life.
Yeah.
Because before we did deploy back, there was another large emotional event that happened just down there. If I could tell this real quick. This would have been in late November 15th. Another movie moment. We're sitting there. It was like 11 o'clock at night, 2300. We just got back in, and our platoon sergeant comes in yelling, "Black Hawk down, Black Hawk down, Black Hawk down." Again, I'm like, what the fuck? We literally just got in, and we're coming outside the building, QRF, and we could see the lights going down and then the fires just going up into the streets of Mosul. So we literally, No vehicles. Remember, we didn't have vehicles back then. There was, I think our third platoon was the main QRF. They drove out in the two Humvees, the light skinned up Humvees. They drove out to the first crash site. We ran down to the second crash site. And that was adrenaline pumping. That was like, we had all watched Black Hawk Down by that time. But this was our own Black Hawk Down that we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
We're running down there. You could see the flames. You could see the engagements that's going ahead. We had to, several times we had to pause because the troops in front of us were in contact. The main QRF, they were in contact. Then we finally got up to the crash site, and we're on the outside of the crash site. And you could just see the flames going off. And our platoon sergeant Clark took like sick of us when we went to that crash site. And we secured the crash site. They did the rest of the outer cordon. But then the task comes once we were in the crash site. We had to start recovering the bodies.
Yeah.
So that was rough. Sergeant Bass, Staff Sergeant Bass, he was up in the main part of the building, bringing body parts down to us. We literally were taking the body parts to the best of our ability, lining them up, get them all lined up. We're bringing, all 11 people died in there. We're bringing parts of their face literally was ripped off, laying that off to the best of their bodies. And then we got it out where it kind of looked like 11 bodies were there. I mean, Doc, it's you try to do the best you can, Dan.
Mm.
That went on for a while, us recovering the bodies. Got them all laid up, and you could smell the flesh going at the same time. Yeah. But then on top of that, once we got the larger forces there, they secured the bodies. We were tasked at staying there the rest of the night to watch over the burn, the crash site. And again, all night long, all you could do is just smell the rest of the flesh and the hair that was smoldering inside that Black Hawk, and the smells you can never get rid of in your life. Like that as being your medic and stuff like that. And that was an event that led up to us, the large scale event before we got home.
Mm-hmm.
Way to get ready to go home. And actually those individuals, they were getting ready to head home on Christmas leave, I think it was. So those two Black Hawks, they actually hit each other. One was in contact, got hit with the RPG, and I think it went up to hit the other one, and somehow it just hit the underside of the other helicopter simultaneously. I think in the first crash site, I think they had like 4 survivors, if I remember right. And then there was, I think, 7 KIA.
Yeah.
But got home trying to process all that. You don't really think about it at the time, brother.
No.
And then once you get home and everything slows down, some of this stuff I haven't talked about for years. And you start to think about it, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest part, right? Because deployment, to me, that's all you have to think about when you're over there. But then I guess I would call it the adrenaline dump, the survival, right? Like it's your survival mode turns off. Yes. And that's all you have to do is think about certain things. And then you're trying to be present with your family, but it's hard. And I think that's probably one of the more difficult things is like trying to be the way you were, but you're not going to be the way you were because of the things that change you.
Yeah. It definitely, you finally slow down and start to realize things, right? And then by that time I was a specialist. I started seeing how the bigger army worked, started that finally, hey, I'm going back into the regular kind of life. And I was thinking about getting out at the same time. I didn't want to think about getting in. But that's when I started kind of having my first kind of like issues with like the way the Army works in certain things. Like for that mission, I really wasn't looking at anything, again, later down in life, but like Sergeant Bass, he was put in for no award for running into the flames.
Yeah.
You know what we got when we got back? We got a pizza party.
Right.
And then there was a general, I don't even know who it was. It wasn't Petraeus that came to talk to us. Told us, hey, this is what happened. But again, that's when I started thinking about that stuff later. Is like, Sergeant Bass literally ran into the fires of that burning building. We were just down below it.
Mm-hmm.
Staff Sergeant Bass literally ran in and out of there numerous times.
Yeah.
Bringing body parts in. That is, you think at the time this is what we do, but then when you get older, right, and more rank in you, you start thinking, okay, this is a little bit above and beyond what normally goes on.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bass that time, I mean,
Heroic.
we had a hell of a job on our part of the CCP, which is lit right there.
Yeah.
But him literally going in and out heroically. Granted, nobody lived, but still putting himself in that moment to
for people he didn't even know.
Right.
That is true. Like it's I mean that's literally what I'm trying to accomplish, man, is there's some great, amazing people out there that did put their own lives at risk for sometimes not even their own platoon. Because you know how tight your platoon is, right? Like your platoon is real tight, but like when you start reaching out to another platoon, even to another company, like it's not the same.
We do none of them people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they were soldiers.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
That's all that mattered. Okay, so coming back, you're specialist already at this time, and or how much longer you got in the Army? Because you thought about getting out. This is what,
so 2004. 2004. I think it was the end of 2004. I think it would have been the end of 2004. I think I was going to, and actually it would have been January of 2005, because I think it did 3 years to begin with, if I remember right. Anyways, I was going to get out, brother.
Yeah.
I was going to get out for one reason, because I didn't like the way certain things operated. I didn't like doing dumb shit. And the dumb shit would be the non-essential stuff that we waited around and taking, especially once we deployed. The time away from our family was unnecessary. To a certain extent, it was unnecessary. So, I mean, I didn't re-enlist until probably September of 2004. Got my EIB at that time. I went to air assault school. Was planning on getting out. And then our first sergeant, he left, went to another company. And then my platoon sergeant took over. I mean, the first sergeant wasn't horrible. Don't get me wrong. He had his reasons. But when my first platoon sergeant took over the company, like I said, when I decided to re-enlist, we did stuff with efficiency. We did stuff that made more sense. We did whatever cycle we're on. We came in, did our morning PT, did our stuff in our morning, pushed the stuff down to the platoon sergeants. We accomplished the stuff. Then by 1400, we were doing our afternoon PT, and then we were out there by 13 or 1530. Depending on the training cycle. I mean, if we were training, you know, and going to the ranges and field, and that's how we operated after that. Once we had that change, and I was like, well, this isn't so bad. This makes more sense, you know. And then I made my. Dang, I think I'd already went to promotion board, but I made it quick. I made rank pretty quick. I made my 5 pretty much as fast as you can make your 5. I was already Corporal James by that time, by September of 2004, waiting to get promoted. Got promoted to Sergeant James, I think around Christmas time of 2004. Team leader James. Then I was moved out of the weapons team finally.
Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, that built some character there, being in a 2-man gun team and weapons squad for almost 24 months. That definitely built some character there. But yeah, you know, I felt like I was a hardened, and then we started finally getting turnover. That was another part of the Army, brother, that I didn't like. That being the small conventional was all the turnover that we get.
Yeah.
Turnover means those individuals that decided, hey, we just went to war and we're not doing this no more. So you had that large scale, the ETS, but then you had the PCSers as well.
Yeah.
So when we deployed, we had our 130 individuals that we deployed with from our company. Fast forward to our next deployment in 05-06, which was another terrible deployment. I think we probably had, from that first deployment, I think we had maybe have 6 original members from our company.
Yeah.
There were some other individuals that came in with some different combat experience from different locations. But from our original company that deployed literally a year earlier or whatever it was, there was like 6 of us for the whole company that had been there from OIF-1 deployed to 0506.
Mhm.
And that was hard. I didn't really like that part of
Yeah.
the conventional forces. It
Yeah,
was
it's
very,
kind of weird, right?
I mean, I understand when the individuals are ETS and stuff like that, and PCS and stuff happens. Man, that's a large. So what happened to us though? At a certain point though, we had started the 4th Brigade up. So 506 came back. So Sergeant Major Chapman, he was our battalion sergeant major. He took over 4th Brigade. He pulled a lot from our battalion area and brigade to start up 4th Brigade.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but a lot. But it was a huge turnover though of like, damn, I know these guys from this platoon, that platoon, but like 2 from each platoon. Everybody else is new.
Yeah. So okay. So now you're a team leader, and you're
Mhm.
leading up to this 05 deployment. What are you trying to
Mhm.
instill into your team as a young NCO?
I'm trying to instill you got to have the right mental capacity and the right heart to complete the mission. I don't care how, you need to be physically fit, but you need to have the right mental capacity to push through the suck, because bad things are going to happen. And how do we adjust to those things? Being in the Black Hearts, we always had the heart on our Kevlar, right? And one of my old sayings was, when dudes are feeling weak, I was like, take that heart off your Kevlar and slap it on your chest. Let's go. All right. Because you got to be able to push through that. I don't care if you run a 12 minute 2 mile, because I've seen plenty of people that could do that couldn't make it to the end of the mission. So I think I tried to instill, the strength and courage to continue on with missions, but also to know what everybody does with inside that platoon. So you have to be kind of the jack of all trades and know and a little bit of what everybody needs to do. So well versed, well trained, a lot of medical training. We did a lot. I think I kind of pushed that as a team leader, and then eventually I became a squad leader going into 05. So I was quick, brother. I mean, I moved up kind of quick
Yeah.
into what I was, but instilling that to the best that I could from the experience that we had before, which totally was different when we went to 0506, because we didn't go to the city. We're preparing for urban environment again. So we're training a lot for urban environment.
Yeah.
And then when we deployed in 05, we didn't go really to the urban environment.
Yeah.
Like
Typical Army type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I know that you went to the Triangle of Death in 05.
Yep.
Can you kind of explain what that was?
Yeah, so that was the area between Abu Ghraib, Baghdad, down to Mahmadiyah. So it was the lane between 2 rivers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's another stronghold of where the Al Qaeda was in Iraq, or ISIS in Iraq, or whatever we wanted to call them at that whatever time and point. But basically, it was the Al Qaeda in Iraq. That was their main insurgent cell, and not really any U.S. forces or coalition forces have been there for a year and a half, 2 years, because they got ate alive in that whole area right there. So that's that whole triangle that goes down between the Euphrates and the Tigris. So we were right in the center of it, of course. No, that ended up becoming our AO. And that's that whole triangle of death type area. And then on the other sides of that was I don't remember, whatever Euphrates, I think it was the Marines were on the other side of that area.
Yeah. Okay, so do they know exactly where you're gonna go, or you kind of were just gonna go somewhere in that area?
We didn't know that eventually. So
Okay.
we got there, and that's why we really didn't train for any open fields and that type of contact, which there was a lot of potato fields
Yeah.
that were in that area. It was a very rural area that we ended up going to.
So how did y'all secure like a base, I guess you could say? What was it like? Was it already established or no?
It was kind of established, because we'd actually got detached again. We got detached again, and we were up in Taji for about 2 months up in Taji. And we lived inside the city of Salvador, which is another wonderful place. Not really, but we lived inside that place. Then finally we went back down to take over Alpha Company's area, which was a place called the Swamp.
Yeah.
And they took some casualties, like some. I think they lost the first sergeant and like 4 others.
Right.
And we knew all them individuals. Like it was like that's when reality starts hitting again. It's like,
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Like, so they kind of had this building secured, and it was called the Patrol Base Swamp. It was a terrible location. I mean, it was like a little house or government building out in the middle of nowhere. Literally, what's those trees and reed lines, literally only 100 meters from us. You couldn't see shit over there. Some houses over there. You had to drive down 6 clicks out of Stryker, which is southwest of Baghdad. Had to drive down through all the roads just to get there. And guess what? All those roads, we had to secure all those roads just to get down to that little patrol base.
Yeah.
Because that was where they wanted us. I mean, there was a lot of bad people down that area. Don't get me wrong. So we got down there in Patrol Base Swamp, secure that area. I wasn't down there very long before I got blown up. The second time on that. That's when I got my second Purple Heart. Go into that if you want to. I mean,
yeah.
First one, it basically took some shrapnel in the leg. Didn't even think about it. I ended up getting that later. But then the second one, we're getting ready to go down to the Patrol Base Swamp. We secured it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But we were back at Stryker. I think our first platoon was actually supposed to be on QRF, our Quick Reaction Force. Something happened. So they come to like the DFACs, like, hey, second platoon, let's go. You guys got to go. I was like, what are you talking about? That's not our time. Kind of angry.
Yeah. Don't interrupt the chow time, man.
Yeah, like I'm angry. So we get there. It's like, hey, we got some. We got the freaking safe house that you guys need to go hit. Blah blah blah. Here's the intel on that. We got 3 individuals. We know that they've been engaged. They're in this house here. They're holding up. Very little intelligence on the building. Very little intelligence on the area, other than 4th ID air support. They have eyes on.
Yeah.
So we get our shit together. This is literally like 30 minutes. We're out on side the airfield, getting ready to go in. We talk again out on the airfield. Hey, this is what's going to go on. I was first squad. First squad, you're taking in. You guys are taking down the doors. You guys are going in, and you're the lead SWAT squad.
Yeah.
The rest of the platoon, you got a Half Moon cordon on there because we knew it was right beside a reed line. Literally, come in. It was that quick. We landed on the backside of it. Thank goodness we did land on the backside of it. I'll tell you this later. But we landed on the backside of it. I'm like, there's no door. So immediately everybody else is filtering off. I'm like, there's no door. I was like, what the hell are we going to do? So I literally start grabbing the wall and I start pulling down the wall, and we breach the rear wall. So I get pretty much a good chunk of the wall to fall down. It's like, yeah, all right. Anyway,
do the grunt thing, dude. Like, we're gonna get in somehow.
We had to adjust quickly because there was like, there's no door on this side. So I made a door. So we get in, we start going through the backside. Of course, we had just missed them again. We see all the blood trails and all the tourniquets and stuff that they had, that the insurgents had fixed themselves up past them, and it was really fresh. We had just missed him. Well, little we know, 4th ID had been having eyes on him, but they had eyes on him, but the Al Qaeda knew they had eyes on him. So somehow they got out. Anyways, we go in, we secure it. I'm in there with the rest of my squad. We secure the back side of the door. We go around to the front side, secure that. Some of the platoon starts filtering in. The first sergeant and CO are on this mission with us, which was kind of good in the long run too, because I have my iPro on. If they wouldn't have been with us, I probably would have had my iPro off because you could barely see through that shit.
Yeah, fogs up real good.
We didn't have like good iPro back then. It was just iPro. I'm literally go around. I'm standing on the IED. It was a directional charge at the front door. It was a directional charge that was made to take out the as the squad's entering towards the front door. So that's why I say it was good that we didn't go through the front door. So I'm literally standing on that thing for like 10 minutes, not knowing. We start to work the area, bring out the mine detectors and stuff like that. I come down off that little thing. First sergeant was up there with me too. I was just talking to First Sergeant Johnson. bullshitting with him because he was carrying his M14. You know, I was ribbing him about that, carrying an M14 on mission with us. And I come down and I start talking to my team leader, another squad leader, and Runyon was our acting platoon sergeant because Sergeant McSwain had just went home to have his baby born. And this is when I feel like I was blessed. A little voice in my head said, "Hey, go check on Stu." So I was like, "Hey, I'm checking on Stu." And as soon as I turned, you know, boom, you know, there, when you're near that close to the explosion, you don't really hear the explosion. It just goes silent, you know, and then you hear the ringing in your head. I get thrown up against the building and I land, and I somehow I block Bucky, which is another squad leader, from getting hit. And, you know, the dust starts to fall and you can see all the dust coming down. You know, I see the silhouettes of Rain and Runyon, and I'm hearing them screaming. And kind of, you know, you can hear the deep, shallow breathing at the same time. This was quick, you know, while all the chaos is going. But then the rest of the platoon starts to light up and engage 240. They were engaging the building over there, I think where the squadrons went to. So I looked down. I finally kind of regained myself. This is all in a matter of seconds. And I realized, hey, medics, Doc Hendricks is on the other side. This is all literally simultaneously going through my brain. So I run, yeah, medic. I'm running to the backside to grab him. And he's like, "Holy fuck, what happened to your arm?" It's like, "What are you talking about?" I got range running. He's like, "Your arm, dude." I was like, and I looked down my arm, and that's when like my whole part of my shoulder was blown off.
Oh,
and
wow.
And that's when the sensories hit. I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, now you're in pain,
like,
right?
"Oh." Now I'm in pain. And adrenaline up what I was talking about, it was gone. But I told him, I was like, "Don't fucking worry about me. Go to Range and Runyons." And old to him, this is another squad leader. He was the weapons squad leader. He was starting to patch me up. And I could just see in his eyes, he's like, "Man, you fucked up, dude." Even though he wasn't saying that, but he was patching me up the best of my ability.
Right.
I'm still holding my M4, and he gets done doing it the best he can. He's like, "All right, just sit." I was like, "No, man, I'm going to go check on fucking Range and Runyon." And we go over there treating him. Everything had finally died down from the tick at that time. And they started calling the 9 line. 9 line, the medevac was there within like 15 minutes. It was quick. I mean, 10 or 15 minutes, it was quick. But I get to see Reno there. I called him Reno Reigns. But if you're a 80s or 90s kid, you would know what I was talking about, but his old 80s show. But I called him Reno. He was laying there. He was bad shit. I couldn't recognize either one of them. Good thing they buried that charge deeper than what they probably should have, or we all would have been dead. But if I wouldn't have listened to that little voice, again, you wouldn't be talking to me, because that part that took off my throat, it would just took off, or my shoulder, it would have took off my face, because I was luckily on it one time, but I was facing right towards it. Yeah. That little split second when I just said, "Hey, I'm checking on Stu," is when everything kind of changed. But ended up getting evac'd out of there. It was so bad, the explosion, that blew my M4 in half. Other parts of the shrapnel had hit that. Rains, he got out the worst out of us. He had a lot of brain damage. He ended up living. They both got medically discharged, of course, but Rains went to Germany for, I think he was there a few weeks before they could even make it back to Walter Reed. Runyon went to Walter Reed. I went to Walter Reed for a few days, a week or something like that. But I beat myself up for a lot after that, though. Like, for one thing, I left my men.
Yeah.
But also, too, I felt like I'd let Reno down, and we didn't know if he was still going to make it by then.
Yeah.
There was not really much communication. I was heavily medicated once I got back home, thinking about, damn, it's kind of like survivor guilt, even though they survived. It's like they're never going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then leaving my men at the same time. I probably went on a couple months. I was so heavily medicated. Got really addicted to pain medicine at that time. Again, I was going through wound treatment myself.
Mm-hmm.
PTSD was over the top. And, my wife trying to deal with this. My kids are younger. What kind of helped me out was I got a call from Reno's wife a couple months later. And I was able to talk to Reno. And I was so emotional. But then at the end of it, he had a big Southern accent. He's from Alabama. I love that guy. He was like, Sergeant, there's nothing that we would have done different. You done it 100 to 1,000 times before. You would have done nothing different.
Yeah.
That little word that he did there, it felt like it literally, that guilt just was pulled off of my chest.
Yeah. Like a weight
And
lifted off.
oh my God, it was so tremendous. And I started getting better back then. Worked my way back off the drugs again as best as I could. And my company was still getting tore up pretty bad in that triangle of death area. By this time, I thought about trying to volunteer to go back. And then there was another changing moment. I think it was again around June 6th. Sergeant First Class McSwain was probably my best friend at the time. He was our platoon sergeant, even though I was a staff sergeant. He was killed, and my other team leader was messed up pretty bad, lost like 16 inches of his intestines, but McSwain lost. It was bad. So I found that out. I think it was June 6th. And then by the end of June, I was back in Iraq again.
Okay.
I got the doctors to bless off on me to go back, and made it back over there. God, I put on like 30 pounds. All my muscle that I had turned to fucking fat. But I was still kind of was doing wound care at the time. I didn't tell the unit that I was still doing wound care. And how bad I was inside, really.
Yeah.
I made checked off enough that the doctors was like, okay, yeah, you're good. You're good to go. So I made it back over there. Of course, surprised them when I showed up. They were so happy to see me, which was another good moment.
Yeah.
It's like, man, James is back. And of course, they were like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I was like, I told you I'd be back. But they was like, you should have stayed home. We're almost there. I think it was another 3 months. Then we finally came back home. Another couple scary moments during that. But like,
did you feel the need that you needed to go back for your guys?
Oh, yeah. I had that. I needed to go back for my guy. Again, McSwain had just got killed. A new platoon sergeant, I just took over the platoon. Sergeant Whitted, but he was a good dude. But I mean, he was nothing like what we had before.
Right.
And my remaining individuals that were still there, I was like, I made a promise to them to begin with, but I need to make a promise to them to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a rock and a hard place because I'm leaving my family at the same time.
Yeah.
But I know my family's safe at home. I know they're safe at home, but that was hard. But I think I had that. That was my internal thing. I guess is the loyalty that I have is really what gets me to continue to do what I do.
Yeah.
Is I build that connection with those individuals, and I feel I can't let them down.
Yeah. Would you say after this deployment, this is where you got I need to continue to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah, I did. So I did that. I think that was it's like, okay, I'm going to stay in. This is kind of my calling. It's what I'm good at, for one thing. I mean, not that I really looked at being good at that, but like I'm pretty proficient in what I do. But I think that's where I really did realize that. So I went there, came back, and then I went to Fort Jackson for about a year. I did some recovery, and then I came back. Then I came back to the 101st. So
you went to Jackson, like, what was it, the
2007
thing, or was it?
Yeah, it was. So it was different during that time. It was like, hey, we're going to take you out of here so you can recover, but you're not really. It was like a wound care thing. So I like PCS, totally PCS, but I was just recovering while I was down there.
Yeah. And
I came back up in the window. It was like, hey, you want to go back up to the 101st? And I was like, well, fuck yeah. Yeah. So I got up there, and they actually, with my injuries and stuff already, and already having 2 Purple Hearts and my injuries, it was like, we're going to put you in the NCO Academy. I was like, no, you're not putting me in the NCO Academy. I mean, I'm not leaving this shithole Fort Jackson. I didn't like Fort Jackson, if you can tell. I was only there like a year, but I'm not leaving this place to come to the NCO Academy.
Yeah.
I want to go back down to 2nd Brigade. Because I'd already got the Sergeant Major down there in the 2nd Battalion. He wrote a letter of acceptance for me. So I got the Commandant to bless off. I was like, okay, well, if you can get down to 2nd Brigade, well, I'll let you go to 2nd Brigade. So I had to go talk to the Brigade Sergeant Major Schroeder. This is another awesome NCO. He's like, all right, I'll get you that letter. I was thinking, all right, cool. I got a letter from the 2nd Battalion Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major Schroeder doesn't know that. So I got that letter from Sergeant Major Schroeder. His S1 wrote it up, got out of that 2-week ordeal with the NCO Academy. Never actually checked in there, but go back to the brigades. Like, all right, Sergeant Major, I'm here. He's like, all right. Sergeant Major Schroeder's like, I got a job for you. I was like, I'm going back down to 2nd Battalion Sergeant Major. He's like, nah, you're going to go over 175 CAV. Man, I just sunk right then because nothing that was good that I'd ever heard about 175. That was our old 3rd Battalion, but they moved it to the Rista Squadron. Like, really, Sergeant Major? Are you sure about that? He's like, yeah, you'd be good over there. I was like, what did I do to myself?
Yeah.
So I go down and tell, I can't remember who it was, Sergeant Major Henderson, I can't remember what his name was. Told him, hey, Sergeant Major Schroeder said, I got to go over 175. He's like, what? He was like pissed off. He went up, just hold by for a little bit. So he went up, came back down to the battalion area. He's like, well, you're going to do great things over there. All right. If you need anything, just reach out to me. I was like, Sergeant Major Schroeder basically told him to pound sand because they needed a leadership change over there. And
yeah.
Which, man, it was rough going to the Charlie Company 175 though. It was a pretty rough time going over there. They just got back from deployment from Iraq, and they had some stuff happen then, but they had a new commander that took over the company, and it was like nobody. I mean, it was very, very difficult to work for that individuals.
Yeah.
And they just, so here's kind of, how it is when you come back from deployment, right? You have a reset.
Mm-hmm.
They had just came back from deployment, literally 30 days. So that would have been December they had off. I had got there in late November, December timeframe of 2008. They had just got off block leave. They were back doing in January, we were out doing day and night land nav. They had just got off block leave. They had just been off a year-long deployment. And this new commander, Ranger, we called him Captain America, had them literally after their block leave out doing 3 days a day and night land nav. And I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Yeah. I'm thinking, for one thing, I'm thinking they're going to ease back in like they normally would do, right? When you refit, you come back in, you get off block leave, you slowly start to do some stuff, do some resetting type stuff. But he had them straight doing day and night land navigation, 3 days. And I'm, my spidey senses to go off, and I'm thinking, man, this is going to be horrible. This is really going to be horrible, and it was horrible.
How long was that commander there?
He was there I think about 16 months. He was there for that whole time through 2009 to the beginning of 2010. We had our coming to Jesus moment in beginning 2010 in JRTC. That was where I was platoon sergeant, and that's kind of where we had some things had changed with inside the company. So me and him had a run in a couple times. Surprised I ever made it past that UCMJ and got, he put hands on my platoon leader during JRTC, and I just lost it. And I don't remember most of the things that I said that night. But after that, there was an IG investigation. He was moved to a good job. I was moved down my platoon sergeant position, and that was pretty hardening too, because I was like, man, I just trained these guys up for 16 months to go to Afghanistan, and we knew then that we were going to the major push in Afghanistan, and we knew we were going into a shitty area.
Yeah,
I felt I stood up for him, but I just let him down at the same time because I'm getting moved out of my position.
Yeah,
because if it would have been us as an NCO, you've been to JRTC, you've probably seen, I assume you have, or you've been to NTC.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen NCOs or have heard of those stories of NCOs getting lost their job.
Yeah.
If I would have put my hands on somebody, I would have lost my job instantly.
Yeah.
Well, he was a captain, put his hands on the PL. The battalion commander wanted him gone, but the brigade commander's like, nah, he's just going to go to this. I think he end up doing a European gig or some stuff like that. He was a European advisor or some stuff, which was very frustrating. So then we get ready to go to 1011 into Sorry District Banjaway,
Yeah.
which was another circle of death or some type of area, if I remember right.
No, it sucks. Yeah.
It was right there where Mullah Omar, Mullah Omar, the leader of the Taliban, his mosque was, and all that crap, where he started the Taliban was at 1011 deployment.
Yeah. So what did they move you? What did they have you do after you lost your platoon sergeant gauge?
So I moved over to we had another promotal. So I didn't make the list one more time. And that was frustrating because my NCRs had been pretty good. I didn't make the list again. So we had, they had kept me there because I was a good leader, but I didn't make the list one more time. So there was another staff sergeant promotable. They moved him from another battalion. I moved over to another platoon and took over a squad. And me and that platoon sergeant didn't get along too well because he treated individuals like shit. For one thing, he didn't really have much leadership skills about him.
Yeah.
He needed a lot of
people skills, huh?
Oh my goodness. So I moved over to him. He looked cool to begin with, but once we got to Afghanistan, that's when I got moved from there. So I was only moved out of that position for a month. Then we went to Afghanistan, was in Kandahar waiting to go to our AO.
Yeah.
And I was a weapons squad leader, and me and the platoon sergeant, we had a run in late at night. I mean, again, surprised this guy ever made rank, right? You're probably thinking, damn. Doc's probably thinking, damn, this guy ever, yeah. But I was standing up for the group. So it was a small little thing. We had PCCs, PCIs.
All right, right.
During the daytime, we got to Afghanistan. The guy didn't want us to use the phones.
Why?
Go to find out, but he was using the phones. And then we had PCCs, PCIs. The PL put out some information, so I put it out. So we missed like the 1800. This NCO came, was like, "Hey, you guys are all fucked up. Be back here at 2300." I was like, "Okay, you can tell us what's going on." So, anyways, it comes to that time at night, 2300 and stuff like that, and he's not there. We're all out there ready to go again. This time, ready to go, right? We're like, okay, we have more guidance. This is what you're expecting. Because before you never give us no guidance. Anyways, they're like, I'm like, so this time, this is when I'm fucking boiling inside. I'm literally boiling inside. And I'm like, okay, where's he at? They're like, I think I seen him over at Chow Hall with First Sergeant. Me and the First Sergeant had a really good relationship. He was one of my squad leaders, platoon sergeants back in the 2502. But we ended up at the same company, and he was a First Sergeant, and I was a platoon sergeant for quite some time. Go over there, and I was like, "Hey, Sergeant, we've been out here waiting for you. Are you coming?" And this is right in front of the First Sergeant and the other platoon sergeants, which they all knew me because I was the platoon sergeant before. And it's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be over there in a minute." It's like, okay, so I stopped back over there, and I'm fucking irate by this time. So we get up there, everybody's out there, and he comes up there, no gear on. We're standing there in our gear, and he's like, tells the rest of the platoons, like, "Hey, you guys go ahead, get back inside." Didn't even look at us. And plus, think about this. This is midnight this time.
Yeah.
In the fob of Kandahar. And he's like, "All right, hey guys, get in the fucking front lane and rest." I'm like, "No, I don't fucking think so, guy." Literally, I mean, he's staff sergeant promoted, I'm a staff sergeant, but I'm like, "Are you fucking getting down? Are you going to be in front lane and rest with us?" He's like, "You fucking need to get down." And I told the rest of the guys, like, "Get the fuck up, man." Well, they listened to me because by this time I was at 6 or 7 of my violent, about ready to lose my fucking thing. He's like, "Man, you better get the fuck down, James." And I just lost it. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Then I don't remember most of the words that I said, but I remember slobbering on him and fucking, it's like, he's almost talking First Sergeant about. I was like, First Sergeant's already out because he hears fucking James going crazy right now. So we go up to First Sergeant. First Sergeant's like, "What the fuck's going on?" First Sergeant's trying to calm me down because I'm ready to, I'm a big dude, and I'm pretty versed with my hands and stuff. On top of that, I was ready to freaking break that dude's neck, man.
Yeah.
But then I started going out with every first sergeant. It's like, this dude doesn't allow these guys to go fucking use the phones. He doesn't allow them to do freaking this. He's not allowing us to do that. Then he puts out fucking half-assed information, all this other stuff, and then he does this shit right here. And he wants to smoke us in Afghanistan. Dude's got live rounds. You're not telling us why you're doing anything fucking wrong. First Sergeant just sit there and listen to him. And I knew that guy was sitting there thinking, why isn't First Sergeant doing anything?
Yeah.
Well, I was right on one thing. It's fucking, by this time, it's dark 30 in the morning. First Sergeant calms me down. Of course, a few hours later, I moved up to HHC. But it ended up being good for that platoon altogether because they told me, hey, after you did that, Sergeant, he started to change some. I hated that it took me doing that because then I was moved out of the company. Then I was moved over to HHC troop, and I was put in charge of the lieutenant colonel's PSD dismounted. They had a platoon sergeant. They had Weigel, which was a good dude. He was very immature too, though, when it came to leadership stuff. And I was like, Sergeant Major's like, I don't want you to take over the platoon sergeant. I was like, I don't want to either. It's like, I don't want to do it either. But he's like, whenever the colonel goes out, you're going to go dismounted with him. You're going to have 4 dudes with you all the time. Well, little did I know that our colonel was going to go out all the freaking time. he was an old CAG commander. Came to do some leadership time. So he was one of those guys that we talked about in the Delta environment. He had done that for a lot of his career, came back to the conventional force to get some leadership time. But then he went back to that after we got back from that rotation. Great commander, though. Him and the Sergeant Major, my Sergeant Major was a 19 Delta. Great leadership there. Yeah. But again, though, I was able to help them individuals out because it was a very rough, that was a whole September to November in that area. It was very kinetic. It was called Operation Dragon Strike. We pushed into that AO, and it was every day. And of course, our colonel was out there every day. And when we'd go out, we'd have the Kandak with us. So, but that was kind of hard leaving the company. But then, hey, I went to where I was needed at that moment.
That's what matters, yeah.
And all the guys, there was a lot of guys that already knew me that was in PSD. They heard about James. I kind of had a lore about me, even though I didn't really mean to make no lore. I just took care of people. I tried to mentor people. I tried to take care of them the best of my ability. So when I got there to begin with, they were having issues with Weigel. It's like, he's smoking us again. I had to go back to getting smoke. Of course, Weigel wasn't going to smoke me because I didn't work for him. I worked directly for the battalion commander and Sergeant Major. But me and him, I ended up mentoring him, which was cool. And he started to change. It's like, then I started seeing a difference. Like, man, I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. And I grew attached to this group of misfits.
Yeah.
Like, because PSDs, most PSDs are a group of misfits. And I'm thinking, damn. But they wanted me to take over. The guys did. And I'm like, I'm not taking over, dude. We had to come to Jesus moment. Weigel was doing his stuff. I was like, I told all the NCOs that were with me, I was like, you come walk with me. And I was really straightforward and sometimes not professional with my language type stuff. It's like, he is your freaking platoon sergeant. I am not here to be your platoon sergeant. This is what I'm here for. You all need to support him to the best of his ability. Yeah. I will tell you this, that I will help mentor. I will help provide coverage where it's needed. But, and he started to change. He really did. I mean, it's like, I had some heart-to-hearts with him because we started spending a lot of time, staff. And then I became a staff sergeant, promotable and stuff. But we had some heart-to-hearts. And he could see that people wanted to gravitate towards me. I never looked for that. That's just the way I was. I took care of people. I treated you like a human being, an adult. And that went a long way. So, and then mission started September 15th. Operation Dragon started. And man, it was nonstop. Like that was, especially 3 weeks. Our first 3 weeks in there was hell. And then we lost 3 people in that first 3 weeks too. KIA. Weigel was one of them. Wow. So I ended up taking over the platoon after.
Regardless.
Regardless, yeah.
What was the major difference that you saw between the fighters in Afghanistan and then Iraq?
Oh, their heart. That. I mean, Afghanistan, Iraq, there were a lot of spray shots. I mean, there was some stuff when I went to that Triangle of Death area. there was some Al Qaeda in that area that they would fight you for a little bit longer. But the Taliban fighters, especially that area, any in the areas in Afghanistan, they elevation. Let me start off with that. Elevation. When you're at Fort Campbell, you're at 500 feet elevation. When we went to RC South, I know you were in the mountains, if I remember right. I've seen some of
No,
your
I was
photos.
I was in the Maywan district in RC South.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no matter what, that's 3,500 feet elevation or more.
Yeah.
We go from 500 feet to 3,000 feet elevation or more.
Uh-huh.
Fucking, they're breathing. It's like, holy shit. But the Taliban fighters, they wanted to hold their ground.
Yeah.
And they knew their avenues so much area, because you were on Maywan. So that would have been, as I'm looking down south across Highway 1, you would have been to our right side down that road, because we were in Zari, Maywan, and we had Panjaway right in that same area. We were right in the middle out of Fob Wilson or Fob Pasab, whatever they renamed it to.
Yeah. I went to Pasab a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. We were based out of there as our battalion was, and we had all the patrol bases that were in that area. The 1st Battalion, 2nd Battalion. 2nd Battalion was closer to Maywan in that area. But they would hold their ground.
Yeah. I like telling everybody they believe in their bullshit.
They do. I mean, they believed what they were fighting for.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell they were fighting for. Maybe the pot fields or the poppy fields. Because we walked through so many pot fields and poppy fields. That was our way of concealment. Yep. Like, we walked for hours through the pot fields, like so much that it was like burning our flesh.
Yeah.
They did believe in what they were fighting for, even though, and that frustrating thing there is just kind of like Iraq, but you don't know who they are, or you know who they are, but you can't do anything about it.
Right.
I know I just had a shura with these individuals. I know 3 people in this shura. They're Taliban. I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
I got to tell a commander or whatever, is like, hey man, these guys are shady. Of course, our commander, he was one of those old Delta guys, and he was like, well, let's get him. I was like, well, we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because like somebody like that would have your back in a bad
he did. Like I said, when we went on patrol though, I mean, after like our first time we went out, literally the first time we went out to do some Shura stuff, I was like on the 15th or 15th, right after it started, working with the ANA. We took contact that first time we went outside the wire. There were some snipers shooting at us. I think that time though, I don't think he had his M4 with him. Every time after that, he always had his M4 with him. But literally moving and bounding, because we'd have to cross those grape rows and stuff like that. He did that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool, because I'm moving with him the whole time. So he would climb across the grape row, be pulling security.
Yeah.
I would climb across the grape row, tap him and move. And it was just like working with another individual.
Yeah.
But he definitely had our back. And
that's good, because like that's a whole different mission that like CAG and everybody has.
Oh yeah.
So it's good that they get to see what it's like down with the convention.
Oh yeah. I think it definitely, he was a good dude anyways, but I mean, it was definitely knowing that I didn't have to watch his back 24.
Yeah, babysit him.
Yeah, there really wasn't babysitting. After the first time, like I said, we took contact that first time. We were in that city. And I think I told him that time, I was like, sir, you need to bring your M4 out with you. He's like, yeah, he has a big Southern accent too. Yeah, you're right, James. I was like, yeah, I know. But we had a really good relationship. Me, being staff sergeant, him being a little, but probably his culture environment that he grew up into.
Yeah.
And it never really stopped from there. And me and him had some really close personal skills. I mean, we got my 3rd Purple Heart together. Me and him got hit together. Actually, we had just crossed. We were going to another Shura. Imagine that. We were ambushed again. Go to find out that it was one of the interpreters working with the Kandak commander was working with the Taliban.
Right.
But we literally had just came around the corner, and of course, me and the colonel, he's generally right on my hip. I remember coming around this corner. I'm looking down this avenue here. There's a little wadi line going through, a little wet line. You know how it is going through those little. You got a wall on each side of you, like a little neighborhood, but it's not a neighborhood in those areas.
Yeah.
Walking down there, and I look down this path and I see a guy, probably not even 100 meters, probably 75 meters, and he's just sitting there staring at us. I'm thinking, okay, Alpha Troop's been here. They got the area secured. So internal thoughts again going through my head, like, I'm looking around thinking, oh, man, it's okay. And I'm about ready to cross this wadi line. I'm thinking, man, this is a great place for an ID. Boom. So literally right that corner that we had just crested and came around, that's where the IED was. So it just missed myself, the battalion commander, and the Kandak commander. So it had hit. And then as soon as that happened, we're in an ambush. We're in a linear ambush. We start taking fire. Was able to get to behind the next wall, which is right across that area where I thought the IED was.
Yeah.
We're shooting AT-4s and we're taking heavy contact. And I hear somebody screaming right around that corner, and that's where that IED was. It was one of the A&A guys, the A&A, his lead PSD guys, because we had secured the Kandak commander with us. And he had his arms blown off of him. He was quadruple amputee, but my medic wanted to go back to him. By this time, engagement is still going on. That area was not secured, right?
Yeah.
Because we just literally walked through an ID that was supposedly not there. So I had to stop my medic. We sit there, and that was another hard decision that we had to make. I was like, okay, we're staying right here. I had to sit there and watch that guy die. Literally, I watched his life just drain out. And the Kandak commander, too, is like sitting there. We're all just kind of sitting there watching this guy just pass away. On the other side of that corner, one of my guys, Trujillo, Cordonly, then Captain Crawford, they got hit, but Trujillo got hit really bad. So they're doing medical treatment on him. We're yelling across what's going on over there, because we can't come back. I can't bring the two commanders back through that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even though it was only 50 meters away of where they were being treated for their casualties, and Trujillo's being treated, and he was fucked up pretty bad. I couldn't bring him back there, so I'm like, we're holding in place. So Weigel's up here with me. I got, he's the platoon sergeant. I'm up here with the two colonels. I was telling Alpha Troop, I was like, listen, you need to get us some fucking support to come in a different direction, or you tell me that area is clear. And their captain on there is like, I can't do that. It's like, well, you need to come in the backside and get me some escort out of here. So they had to come back through a whole nother area and break down some walls and shit, which to get us to go to a opposite direction, because I wasn't going back through that same direction that supposedly was already clear.
Mm-hmm.
We were, I remember that stuff, but then there's a lot of time that I kind of had a lot of blank time after that because I was rocked. So me and the colonel, we were out 4 days or something like that. It was I think I slept for 4 days after that.
Shit.
It was a huge explosion.
Yeah.
And once me and the colonel seen each other, we just looked at each other. It's like, he's like, you okay? I was like, yeah, sir. He's like, I was like, are you okay? He's like, let me fucking tell you. And then of course we went into some conversation, but yeah. And it was back to work after that. It was regular shit back after that. And then this was literally the 15th, 16th, or not the 16th, the 15th, couple days. And then, something like that. And I was like, then we went back out again, not the colonel. We get called out on to pull support to help Charlie Company. They was in contact and they needed EOD out there. So we escorted EOD. Literally, where Wilson was. I think whatever that route was, route something, Killian's or something like that. There was a troop that had a patrol base down there.
Mm-hmm.
We're literally like 2 clicks only away from Fob Wilson's gate. We go down in there. I jump out. I escort EOD down because they found something as their Charlie Company's going through an area. One of their vehicles was hit, was set on fire. And then they started going through and they found what they thought was some IEDs.
Yeah. So
I jumped down. I started escorting them through there. And then as soon as I'm jumping over one of those grape rows, again, we get lit up. Recoilless goes off. And it's kinetic after that. Of course, I'm engaging as I'm jumping across the thing at the same time. Go to link up with that platoon sergeant that I already had some run-ins, but we'd already squished it in the ground by then, and we were engaging. I get the call over the radio, hey, Legion, blah, blah, blah. We got some wounded individuals. We're heading back to the patrol base or to the Bob Wilson. I was like, go. So they head back to the patrol base. And I don't really know what's going on at the time because I'm worried about what's happening on the ground at the time there. ISR had eyes on the individuals that were in the reed line. They didn't engage them. They end up getting away. So we finally recovered. We ride back in with that platoon I was with, the 3rd platoon. And as soon as I get in there, Weigel's sitting there waiting. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And he tells me, hey, Snow's dead. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Snow's dead. So that was my gunner.
Yeah.
So that recoilless went through the right portion of the turret, hit him, went through the back, hit the medic, went down, went through my TCC, and then went right into the console, and my driver got hit too. And I was like, damn. But it was, that breaking down moment again. It's like we just lost PFC again, another 18-year-old kid. Great dude, man, PFC Snow. And I think he was, God, I don't even know his MOS. I think he was like a weapons NCO, or not weapons NCO. I can't remember what it was. He was some weird MOS.
Oh, like those weapons maintenance guys.
He was some weird MOS.
Yeah.
He wasn't a 19 Delta. He wasn't
like a 91 something. I can't remember.
Yeah, he was not like any of the normal MOSs.
Yeah, they like fixed the weapons and stuff like
he was
that,
something like that. But he was my gunner. He's a good dude, but he was part of the misfit group that was there with us. But who would ever thought though? I mean, like that one random shot that I went through, and out of all the vehicles, everything was all bunched together. All those vehicles were all bunched together though.
Mm-hmm.
Easy target for somebody with recoilless.
Right.
But this is when you realize how ballsy those Taliban fighters are, because again, they were only 150 meters from us, brother.
Yeah.
Like they pop up with recoilless, which isn't a small weapon, and engage us. And then they got their PKM up there at the time. We got a platoon size plus out there, and plus the gun trucks, the MRAPs. And of course they got away that time. But Snow passed away on that one. Young kid, man, a good dude. But that was hard though. It's like, man, again, and then it was just nonstop, like for 3 weeks. It was after that. Mm-hmm. I think it was in like another week later is when I got my 4th Purple Heart in the BSM with V about a week later.
So how did you get that BSM with V? I haven't really talked to many people that have gotten it.
Yeah, so it was another mission where Alpha Troop had been securing an area. It was part of Operation Dragon Strike. And they were staged in this, them roads off of Highway 1, those whole sandy area that leads in before you get to the green lush areas. They were staged there the night before, like the squadron and stuff like that, in a big sandy area. And Alpha Troop had left the remaining force kind of on that reed line and what's it called, the interdiction point where everybody had went through that area. They kind of were controlling that area, supposed to be. But a battalion, a squadron of vehicles, literally, plus, engineers had all been in that area the night before. And we go through there, we drop off. Colonel's out there with us because he wants to see what's going on, large shop, and we link up with Alpha Troop. Start going through that area. We take contact then, take some some RPGs and some small arms fire because we were out there on the ground for probably an hour. And then Colonel's like, okay, hey, let's head back. And so we start to head back, coming back out of that area, and our vehicles are in that little area, that big sandy area. So we start to load back up. I think it was like, I don't know, 4th in line because the platoon sergeant, he ended up usually taking the first. And I still was a senior, I usually would bring up the rear. There was an A&A, he got stuck, Weigel got stuck. So I pull around, like, hey, I jump out of the vehicle. This area secure, right? Alpha Troops 150 meters away. A battalion was just there the night before. He gets stuck. He's trying to work them out. An A&A truck goes around to like the backside of us. Well, as the A&A guy, I'm guiding them around, dismounted. I'd go around because usually we would follow each other out to the best of our ability. The A&A vehicle slowly comes around my MRAP and starts going around about 25 meters from me, maybe a little bit farther. And boom, they hit a massive freaking IED, and they go flying up like, it seemed like probably 5 feet up in the air. And it was one of those 11-14s that we gave them or whatever they were. It was up arm up V, and I was like, holy shit. And I'm blown back because I'm literally right by the goddamn thing. I'm blown back off of my feet, and I hear the engine parts coming by me. I think I'm gonna get killed by an engine. I just hear the parts just like, and I catch myself. All that moon dust is around, and I'm still standing there, barely can breathe, but my ears are ringing. I'm looking at that reed line, not where our guys were, but there was a house that was like right there, about 125 meters, 150 meters away. I see 3 dudes get up and PKM, and they just start lighting us up.
Yeah.
Ballsy motherfuckers, brother. Like Alpha Troop, our gun trucks are right down there. My lieutenant colonel's right there. They're just watching all this shit take fold. And I just reacted, man. I'm out in the middle of there. I'm starting engaging them. I'm out there in the open. One of the A&A guy gets out and starts kind of falling on the ground. His leg's missing. So I run out to him while I'm engaged, and we're taking rounds there. So the whole time, I really didn't have much of a choice. I mean, I could have ran back to where my group was, right? But I was like, this dude's out here and vulnerable. We're taking PKM fire. Our guys are starting to engage by this time, so they're getting fired from behind me. They're getting fired from their flank side, the Taliban, but they're still shooting at us.
Yeah.
And this is a flash of a moment. It may seem like minutes, but it probably was. It may have seemed like 15 minutes, but it probably wasn't even that long.
Yeah.
So that goes off, and I run out there and I start grabbing the A&A guy, and I was like, okay, dude, let's go. I'm fucking grabbing him back. I was pretty fit at the time, so I'm literally grabbing this dude. He's probably 150 pounds. I'm dragging him back with one hand, engaging the enemy as I'm coming back at the same time, like laying down fire. I'm fucking fighting for my life at this time.
Right.
I had nowhere else to go. I didn't know if the Humvee was going to fucking blow up, so I'm pushing him back, get the other A&A guy out. Then there was a third dude in the back. He took off. He was fine. He took off fucking running like a bat. Good thing he didn't get killed. Took off running like a bat out of hell. So I saved those 2 guys while all out in the open and taking that fire, heavy fire, and finally make it back to cover. And Ugay lit up with some AT4s. He loved his AT4s. Then everything kind of just suppressed and went down quiet. So we called a medevac in for the A&A. And I stayed on the objective at the time. I didn't get evac'd at that time. Even though I was spitting out blood and stuff like that, I didn't tell anybody that, hey, I'm fucking dying inside.
Yeah.
And, so I told them, and we got that. And then about 2 hours later, they finally came out, got the HEMTT to get the vehicle out of there, get back to the Fob Wilson where they had that Rule 2 medical station.
Yeah, it's nice there.
We pulled up in there to treat, some injuries, and I get out. And the last thing I remember is the squadron commander and sergeant major coming up to me and starting to give me a hug, and I get just blacked out. And then I woke up in Kandahar. So what happened there, though, is I had my sack around my concussion, of course, but once you have one, you just become susceptible to them, especially when you're 25 meters from an explosion. But I'd ruptured the sack around my heart at the same time. So.
Oh, wow. Did that take you out of the fight?
No.
I
told him I was okay. About a month later, everything kind of slowed down a little bit, and I was still coughing out blood and stuff. And I went to the aid station, talked to the lieutenant colonel that was there. And he's like, James, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I was like, I got too much shit going on. Because by that time, we had just got back, and I was only out like a week, and then I made it back. And then Weigel was killed that day that I got back. I didn't go out on that mission. I mean, it wouldn't matter if I did or not, but him and Hess was killed, his driver. Catastrophic IED totally destroyed their MRAP. But we got back that same day. Actually, Hess was with me. And we got back down, landed, and then Hess went out with him as the driver. And I didn't know until hours later when they came in my tent. It was like, hey, Weigel was killed, Hess. I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And then it was just history from there. And then, like I said, a few weeks later, maybe a month later, I went to the aid station because I still could not stop coughing up blood. But I was like, I had more important shit going on. These guys, we just lost Snow. We had lost Weigel. We had lost Hess. The other two guys were out. I think out of our, so we had in our platoon so far, we already had 3 KIA, 13 of us had Purple Hearts. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have a big platoon anyways. There's only 20, 21 of us or some shit like that. I mean, it was BSD. We had a pretty thick BSD, but then I took over the platoon sergeant position after that. Anyways.
Yeah. So after this, I mean, you've had like 3 really hard deployments. Did you kind of experience like combat fatigue?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I volunteered to go on my 4th deployment on that SFAT team, which was my most relaxed deployment, even though we still had a pretty traumatic event in there. But I was able, during that deployment, I didn't really have any combat fatigue. I was very numb, though. I was a very numb individual. People thought I was just a big beast, but I was just a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
But I had to be, I had to have that front of individual. Once people talk to me, they realize like, damn, Sergeant James, he's actually a pretty nice guy. But I couldn't put that off to begin with, though, right? You got to get to know me before I let you into my circle of trust and let you know, hey, he's human. He is a human being. He's got 4 Purple Hearts, but he's human. So
yeah, you're like a deployment NCO, man.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is. Like everybody knows if you guys served with anybody, the difference between like a deployment NCO or a S3 NCO.
I was definitely I was definitely very very rigid, and I have a lot of combat knowledge, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that led up to that, and that's why I took over that SFAT team. There was only 13 of us deployed there. Not really much happened during that deployment for the most part. I mean, I was able to bring all 13 of us back, but I had another fallen angel site that we had to go down. One of the birds, it was a Kiowa warrior that was supporting us in the ANA, and they got shot down on their last mission.
Yeah,
and we were deep in hostile territory, especially only being the security that we had. Was working with Task Force 10 at the same time. That was a mixture of SF and some Rangers, some SEALs were in that Task Force 10. They lived right beside us. They were working with the police doing operations. But yeah, so the one big mission that we go out with that Kandak, and it was pretty decent. We took small arms fire, but then when the Kiowas went down, we probably had to drive 3 clicks through some deep, uncharted territory to go recover them. And, while all hell's breaking loose at the same time, we get down there. It's like, I think 4 of us down there, the captain, myself, Doc, Ussery, and maybe one other guy. We went down there, Sabatino, and we had, I think, a squad of infantry that was with us to help secure that site. Because we didn't have security. I mean, on that 13-man team, real quick, there was myself that had a lot of combat knowledge. My captain, that picture I sent you, he had some deployment knowledge. Medic had no knowledge. My 91 Ussery, he was a generation mechanic. He had knowledge from that 10-11 deployment, so he knew what the hell was going on. So I was glad he was on my team. But he was not 11 series. He was a big wheel mechanic or some shit like that, generator mechanic. Because we had to help try to set up the Kandak. So I was really the only combat MOS on that team for the most part. Then my fister, Sab, he was in that same deployment. He had a lot of experience, but then all the officers, there was like 6 officers, and then us 4 or 5 enlisted. So it was just kind of us.
Yeah.
But we were able to recover that. Again, it was just like as soon as they went down, I was like, we got to react. I'd actually, because they'd been engaging all day, that Kiowa team.
Yeah.
They went off station. They went back, refueled. And all the new guys are still watching all that stuff. And I actually, fucking James, I'm like, I'm going to go sit in my truck and take a nap. I've already seen all this stuff. And as soon as I get in that truck and I start hearing people screaming and then Fallen Angel comes, I'm like, I'm having flashbacks. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
But we immediately got together and got down to the site. I was able to, they were KIA, but, and when you see somebody like that, at least they were whole. They weren't on fire. So
right.
They died from the impact.
Do you think with all your combat experience and all this time, you're ready for the garrison life because of what the Army was transitioning to?
I'm going to say no, man. I was definitely not because I still wasn't ready to be done with combat.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I feel like I had, I didn't want to leave when I left Campbell. So I was ready to stay and deploy again.
Yeah.
Because even though after that deployment, the 12-13 deployment, I think I mentioned that large-scale operation stopped in 14, basically. We had deployed some individuals after that, but I totally was not ready. I wasn't ready to be done. I think at that time I'd become a junkie.
Right.
I really do. I think I became a junkie because it was like I'd done it for so long, and that's all I'd done.
Yeah.
I don't really count that time that I went to Jackson because, for one thing, mentally I wasn't there, but I was just recovering from injuries. I didn't do shit when I was at Jackson other than really just showed up to work. I didn't really do anything there. But I definitely was not ready, man. I was not ready. But the Army, actually branch. So talking on that, I got the orders at the end of that, my last deployment in Afghanistan, the orders that, hey, you're gonna PCS. And I reach out and I'm like, okay, I don't want to. Branch manager, Mr. Pipes, I still remember that guy's name. Certain things, even though I got a lot of brain trauma, certain things I still remember certain things. Mr. Pipes is like, you got to go, man.
Yeah, you've been there a long time.
Yeah, I was like, I put in for high school stabilization because my oldest was getting ready to go be a junior that year. And I really didn't want to leave for them, though, true. Because they had been there. They'd went to elementary school there. They went to middle school there. They started their high school careers there. So part of it is I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to go for them as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I didn't want to, because I love my family. Family's everything to me. I think that's why part of the being in the infantry, I grow so close to those individuals, and it's hard for me to get out of that mindset because I didn't want to move for them. I mean, high school years are so important. My oldest is going to be a junior. My youngest is becoming a freshman, and I'm fucking everything up because I got to move. That's my mindset. So I put in for high school stabilization, and Branch is like, "No, man, you got to go." It's like, what? It's like I don't want to. It's like,
yeah,
you got to broaden your horizon. So they gave me an ACRC gig, which is up Camp Atterbury, Indiana, they took care of me. I mean, little did I know that I needed taken care of, though.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go straight back to any kind of garrison stuff because I went and did the OC. So First Army, we did, we were the checks and balances OCs for the National Guard for like 6 states. So we were up RC East, or not RC East, First Army East, or whatever we called it. That's the big A patch. You ever seen that big A patch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was like a National Guard, like somebody's second grade kid wrote that shit.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I'm wearing that patch. But it was good, though, for me because, for one thing, I was able to slow down. Didn't know I needed to slow down. And then I was able to deal with a lot of stuff because that was like 3 years of just nothing but therapy, really. I mean, we did, OC missions and stuff, but that ain't nothing. We're just walking through, but there was like 40 of us in that battalion, and it was a battalion, but we're all combat arms. So as majority of us were 11 series, but then there was some 19 series that was in there, 19 deltas. We all had very similar experiences.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 years of just being in nothing at the back of the building. And we didn't do a lot of stupid shit. There was no wasted time there. We didn't just go in to go in.
Yeah.
If your team wasn't on mission, you didn't have to be there all fucking day. But it was like at the back, we're just Afghan, Iraq stories, like talking about stuff that we'd all been through. So it was having that 3 years of therapy of individuals that have been through the same thing, same event that you have similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes at the same time that you were in country at the same time.
Yeah. That's some of the best therapy.
It was great therapy for me. I mean, I didn't even realize I needed it. I really didn't realize that I needed it, but it was a blessing in disguise again that I had not really looked for, but somebody was looking out for me.
Yeah.
Because I was in a pretty bad state, at that time. And for one thing, I'd left everything that I'd known for the last 11, 12 years. And I go to this stuff where I'm doing nothing, literally.
Slow, right? Slow pace.
Slow, but then once at the end we got in, we do PT on our own. When I wasn't the team chief, I was home by lunch every day. If we weren't training, like if say your group's coming in or whatever, because National Guard, they don't work every week. Which I'm active duty. So we was like, if they're not coming in and doing a rotation, there's no need for you guys to be doing stupid shit at work. Yes, no stupid shit. That was great, brother. It's like we had some good leadership too. That was like, we had to have our own responsibility and stuff, accountability and stuff. But there was no living by the phone. When I was a leader for so long at the Campbell,
you're like, to it.
Oh my God. It was 24/7.
Yeah.
And when I went to Atterbury, that's where it was in Indiana, and it was closer to home at the time. I didn't live by my phone. Again, Sergeant White, and we're all Sergeant First Classes. Sergeant First Class White, he was the first team chief. He was like, all right, man, here's what I need you to do. When I first got there, he's like, we don't need you for 2 weeks. I was like, I'd already took like 45 days of leave. I get there, and I was like, I thought I was being punked.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, man, I don't need you to. 2 weeks, be back. I really didn't know what to do, brother. I'm like, this guy's fucking with me. I didn't get no text messages. I didn't get no phone calls. I get back there 2 weeks later. I finished my little bit in processing. And then I was out of there by lunch, like every day.
Yeah.
I was like, and then when I got home, guess what? No phone text messages, no phone calls.
You just had to show up on time.
We knew what we were doing every day.
Yeah. It was like a normal job.
It was. I was like, wow, this is what it feels like again. I kind of got used to that shit. And it was like that. And then even the second year that I was there, I really never went back to kind of a full garrison because I was the OC. I took over the team chief position, so I took over Sergeant White's position. Even as the team chief, I was only there until like 1500. That was the latest that I would even be there.
Yeah.
We didn't do no stupid shit. Move with efficiency, no stupid shit.
Yeah.
If we didn't have to.
So when did the end of Chris James start coming about? Not the end of you personally, but like the end of like your army time. Like
army time, that would have been when I was moved here to Patrick Space Force Base. So after the OC guy gig, the Army hooked me up again, and they made me an EOA, Equal Opportunity Advisor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know what that is or not, but there's only one of them for the brigade. So Sergeant First Class James I work directly for the brigade commander. People that knew me before, it's like, there's no fucking way, dude. So I go down to Patrick Air Force Base at the time. It was like 11-week course. I about to quit though. I really did.
Yeah.
When I first got to the course in 2016, I thought I wanted to do it. Then I got down here and everybody's all getting emotional hugs and stuff. And like, this is not this guy. But I was like, I can't tap out of EO school. I was like, this is all mental stuff, right? And then I worked through my own emotions of that. It's like, okay, I could do this because I'm actually a pretty good human being when it comes down to it. And I started realizing it's like, oh, then I find out I'm going to Hawaii. Cool. I got this. I can handle this. So I go do that my EO time in Schofield and even get promoted during that. That's when I make my 8. And then I was supposed to go to Benning. I went to Benning. I was supposed to do some first sergeant time. Crazy thing. Somebody has it out for me. I was getting ready to take over my company. I was going home off of my permissive TDY. And some kid ran into me and paralyzed me for like a week and a half. And I was in ICU 2019.
Oh, shit.
And then took about 2 years to recover from that. So I didn't ever get any first sergeant time. And which was fine. Once emotionally and mentally, I'm like, okay, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, but God had a different plan for me.
Yeah.
So I still was able to go back. I recovered, and I took over some of the high risk ranges there in 198th at Benning. So simulation center, I took charge of that for all the sims that the AIT or basic comes through that. And I was in charge of the 240 ranges, 249 ranges and that shit. So I still helped out like 40 NCOs that I was in charge of, which was pretty awesome. It wasn't a first sergeant, but it was pretty awesome position. And then again, the Army's like, hey, you can go be an instructor for the Department of Defense. And by this time I realized, okay, well, I'm not going to be a first sergeant. I'm not going to go work in an S3 shop. No fucking way. Excuse me, but that's not going to happen. And I know that we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So my highly developed skills that I had years ago are not going to be utilized. So I was like, okay, Florida it is, man. Just south of Cocoa Beach. And did that, was instructed for the DOD. These guys, when I got here in 2022, they were still doing COVID rules for some reason. So we were doing some virtual stuff, and we finally got back in, which I didn't mind instructing. There's 100 some people would come in there, and all the branches come together, which is pretty cool. So I get to work with the other branches, and we learn the basics of our EO program, but treating people with dignity and respect, but then also working with the other branches, every branch I worked with, and then the civilian side of the house as well. And then I think it was 2023. I finally had my neck surgery done. I had my C5, 6, and 7 done. And then we're talking about doing my lower back because my lumbar's messed up from the explosions and stuff that I've been through. And I had to come to a Jesus moment kind of with one of my doctors. Like, what are you doing, man? I was like, I think I'm doing this. It's like, well, you can continue to push off. Reality is, you're not going to make first sergeant. You're not going to do that. I'm not going to make sergeant major. For one thing, I didn't want to make sergeant major now because I'm already in my late 40s by that time.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at staying in until I'm 55 years old. So I had that kind of come to meeting moment with one of my doctors, and that's when we started pushing the med board stuff for my neck and my lower back and that stuff. And that's when I realized, okay, that was in 2024. So that was at the beginning of 2024. I was supposed to be out at the end of 2024. That's when kind of reality I started, okay, I've transitioned into whatever I'm going to be next in life. I get my ratings back in December 2024. VA's good. The Army was not so good. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? The Army only wanted to give me a certain percentage for my back. They wanted to give me like the lowest rating for my PTSD. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking this because knowing what other individuals have gotten before, right? I would have been 100% no matter what. Now I'm standing on purpose of everything that I've sacrificed for you for the United States Army. You want to come back. You only want to, I think they didn't want to even throw my med board in for my lower back or PTSD. They only want to do me my neck. So what that affects is my retirement pension portion and how much is tax-free and how much I get back. So that was December. I was like, no, I'm gonna talk to my lawyer, get my lower back on there, get my PTSD on there. So came back in late January-ish, February. I finally got the lawyer reached back to me. He's like, hey, I think we got a verdict. They want you to go in front of the board. I'm like, okay. And she said, but I'm going to write up a letter and show up all your past, medical, my encyclopedia of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I'm going to send this up to them first. So she did that. So that would have been the beginning of March. And she called me back, says, all right, you don't have to go to the board. You should be getting a message here from the VA and whoever, the Army soon, and get your orders to be out by September. So thank goodness for the lawyer. And she was a free lawyer. She was one of the government lawyers, but she really did her research on me. Because she's seen like, hey, you got a BSM with V. I sent her that story. I think I sent that story to you.
Yeah, I have it.
And she of course, seen my Purple Hearts and stuff. And like, she was just looking at my encyclopedia of injuries. And she's like, what are they doing to you right now? I was like, amen. I don't know what the hell they're doing to me. Yeah. That was very frustrating. It's like everything, again, none of those people up there were making those decisions. Most of them may not even have any combat experience at that time. There's probably some captain or major up in there just looking at me on the face value. But even then, I got an encyclopedia. I got like 5,600 pages of medical records or some crazy shit.
Yeah. When you finally like get medically retired, what is it like in the beginning stages of it, man? It's not what you were used to.
No, when I get medically retired, of course, it's the reality. When September 3rd came, that's when my last day. September 2nd, September 3rd was when I didn't text in, hey, I'm okay anymore, because I didn't even go into formation and stuff anymore. But had my ceremony, and then September 3rd came, and I was like, okay, that's cool. By about the second week of September, I was like, wow, this is fucking different, man. It's like, after being almost 24 years of being institutionalized, it was rough, actually. Rougher than what I thought it was going to be. For one thing, I didn't have the resources easily available. I couldn't get medical treatment that quick like I needed. Still haven't got medical treatment like I needed. So before, I was going into pain management once a month, getting back injections. Well, every 3 months I get back injection, and every month I'd get my medication. May of 2025 is the last time I had a back injection. I still have not, since I've been in the VA system, to get the epidural into my lower back, which is fucking sucked. So I finally, guess when I will get them? September this year is when I go in to get my first injections. So last week I actually went to the VA appointment to pain management, and they're like, yeah, I think you need this. So I was like, yeah, I know I need it. I mean,
I've been needing it.
I know I've been needing it. So I've been on a lot of, I've been back on the pain pills and stuff, but not like I was at that one time where I was overdoing it. Because in 05 or 06, when I was abusing this stuff, I had it at my discretion though. I had pills, like that's when they would give me like 120 pills in one bottle. So I had Oxy, I had Tramadol at the same time. And then there was other barbiturates that I took. Then I had my sleeping medicine that I was on, my zombie pills, which was called Seroquel. They give that shit to you at the insane asylum. It's actually antipsychotic. Worked my way off of that, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm much better now. But it took a while to get off of that shit. But since I've been out, man, I need to get back to do something, though. I really do now.
Yeah.
I've been out since September. November is when I really was like, I gotta do something. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought, I don't have a college education. For one thing, I needed to give too much time to the Army, and then the rest of it was to my family, right? So I wasn't going to sacrifice my time like that to go to college. Should have. Hindsight's fucking 2020, but because nobody wants to hire me, and that's the reality of it. I'm like, I have a very specific skill set. Don't get me wrong. I have 25 years or more of leadership because I have my civilian leadership. I have all this military leadership, and then I have my equal opportunity stuff. But I don't have that little paper that says, you have a bachelor's degree in such and such.
Yeah.
Since December, I probably put in like 30, 40 applications. And everybody calls back. If they reply back to me, it's like, hey, we're looking at different directions. Hey, you don't meet this criteria. Hey, don't fucking respond back to me. I'm thinking, God, I can't even get on the Sam's Club. I was talking to the Wounded Warrior guy, though. He's like, for your skill set, it's kind of difficult anyways. But he's like, you may have an associate's, which I almost got an associate's degree. But you're either don't have that piece of paper or you're overqualified. So that's why a lot of places don't want to hire you, because you're overqualified for say Walmart or Sam's Club, like I applied for Home Depot. They don't want to hire me because they're thinking I'm not going to last, because as soon as I get a better offer, I'm going to be gone. But there's nobody in person to talk to about that. So, but that's what my Wounded Warrior guy, he was telling me. He was like, that's where it looks like you're at.
Yeah.
Which has been very frustrating, though, brother, because don't get me wrong, I'm not ready to go back to a 9-to-5 job. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back to a 6-to-2 job, a 7-to-3 job, a 9-to-5 job. However, it's getting to the point right now where I got to. I mean, the world is getting expensive, and my pension and stuff is only going so far.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And then that there was about, when I got out was at a terrible time. That's when the shutdown was getting ready to go on. So I basically didn't get paid for 4 months, and I didn't get back pay.
Yeah.
So I missed out on about over $40,000. I missed out of, dude.
Yeah.
And I didn't get back pay. I got $3,000 of back pay. Don't get me wrong, $3,500 from the VA.
It's definitely rough. I remember when I got out, it took me like 120 days to get the job. Yeah. But it's weird, right? Like, you do so much for the United States, you feel like you'd be taken care of a little bit better, huh?
Well, I mean, I think so. But then you hear the stories of, you're going to have this offer to you, you're going to have this offer to you.
Yeah.
None of that's offered to me.
You're hireable.
I even put my application in some of those places overseas and stuff like that. Nobody's responded back to me. Do I want to do that? No, but I'm getting to the point where I need to do that. Do I want to go to Kuwait in 120 degrees again? Yeah. No, I don't, brother. But I need to. For one thing, I need to get out of the house, man. For one thing, it can only be in your house for so long. But to get out there, and I think I never really thought about it, but it's good to be out there and still be functioning with society.
So so since we're coming up on the end of this, what advice would you give to the veterans struggling for life after service, and like, what has helped you so far, like with, hey, I need to try to get another job, or I need to keep pushing, or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think for life afterwards needs to come with planning while you're young. You know, even though I was living in the moment because of the deployments, because of the training, because of my mission set, but coming I didn't really have nobody giving me those words of wisdom, because guess who was in charge of me? Other individuals that were living that same lifestyle. There was nobody saying, okay, James, you're living your 50-meter target right now, but you're going to have a 300,000-meter target that's eventually coming up, especially if you're staying in over 20 years. You know, you got that 1,000-meter objective that's going to come. What are you doing to prepare yourself for that? What engages you in life? I like writing. I do like writing as well. But I've always loved writing type stuff. I write like poems, whatever can engage you for future on down the road. What interests you? What do you think may interest you? I go with this, the juniors get some kind of education. I didn't really think about it. I was living the moment. I told people, hey, get an education. Was I doing it myself? No, I wasn't. Damn, I should have. But get an education that you can use and that you want to do to prepare you for that next transition to where you're going to go later after because it's going to end. Whether you do 8 years, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if you do 4 years. Everybody has their moment in life. At least you've served. You know, what is your plan for when you do get out? How many times has Sergeant James said that to individuals? All right, man, what are you going to do when you get out? What's your plan? Well, I'm going to go to school. All right, sure, you're going to go to school. But I never was an individual to try to say, hey, you need to stay in. There was some individuals that I did actually say that because I knew they weren't going back to anything good in life.
Right.
And unfortunately, they didn't go back to anything in good life. They got out. Have a plan. Get an education while you can and make the most of that. And invest. That's one thing I should have done that I didn't do. With financially, I should have been financially, fiscally more responsible. I did live a lot in the moment, though. It was good times. Don't get me wrong, but thinking about it now, I was like, damn, I should have invested more.
Yeah,
it's things like that, financial. But that comes down to your leadership, though. Who do you have in charge of you that you can look up to as a mentor? And those junior leaders down there and those senior leaders down there in formation right now, what are you doing to help them out? Are you telling them about financial courses? Are you helping them? Hey, you need to have these times where you can go to college. You could say that, go to college all you want, but are you actually giving your soldiers time off to do that?
Yeah.
Maybe not like a whole day off, but like, are you not going to be messing with them when you don't need to mess with them type stuff? And in the combat arms world, it's definitely difficult. You know that all too well as well. I mean, you're right there with us. We don't have regular days.
Right.
As most, and that goes from people being married as well. I was married, I had kids when I came in. I already had a family when I came in. But you need to make that time because your time is going to come up, and focus on that. Try to be the best person that you can be.
All right. 2 more questions. Give me some dad advice.
Dad advice. You're never going to be perfect. Do the best that you can do. Listen. Give hugs whenever you can, because it depends on the age of your kids. Those hugs are going to stop. So you have your early years in life, right? I don't know how old your kids are, but you have those first years in life where it's like 1 to 4, where you say, hey, yes, no, and here's your consequences. A good little smack on the hand or the ass, right? It doesn't have to be brutal. And then you have from 5 to 10 is like, yes, no, but here's also why. Because by the time they become a preteen, that's who they are. By the time you become that teen, if you haven't made a difference in that first part of your kid's life, those teen years are going to be really difficult. And I think I did do that for the most part, right? My wife's Filipino, so she's pretty strict. But you have to make an effect in those early years in your kid's life. Be around. Yeah. Go to, even if you're in the military, go to the events that you can go to. That is one good thing about Big Larry, Sergeant Clark, when he took over our company. And even when he was our platoon sergeant, he was like, if you have stuff going on at an organizational event at school while you're on post, and I don't need you here at work, go do those, because you know how kids on post, they have stuff going on at time during school time or even off post. If I can allow, Doc, you to be gone for 2 hours to go to your kid's event, do it. Because that'll echo into your kids later in life saying, yeah, I remember dad was here for that. But it also, it's a memory for you as a father. It's like, damn, I did miss a lot, but I was around for these, and I think I did these things right. And that's kind of the best advice I have. Be around, and don't be afraid to say I love you, because that could be taken away from you in a minute.
Yeah. All right. Husband advice, dude.
Husband advice, man. Hold on. It's a hell of a roller coaster, buddy. 30 years in January. We just finished up our 30-year anniversary, and it was a roller coaster. I mean, we had times where we were in the civilian world, roller coaster. We had times in the military, roller coaster. You're going to have ups and downs, but you have to work through it, and you have to talk through any issues that you have, and you got to have that communication. I'm not an all big love language guy, but you need to know each other as individuals. And when you stop talking to each other, or when everything becomes an argument, that's when something bad's about ready to happen, and you got to be able to work through that.
Yeah.
But you got to continue to talk. Like I said, me and my wife, 30 years, we've been through a lot. Like, shit. At one time, she's my best friend, and one time she's my worst enemy. One time she's my best friend, and one time she's my worst. It's that even flow. I'm saying my worst enemy because it's like, man, she won't stop freaking nagging at me for this. Like, she understands what my job is, right? It's like, but she still wants me to be a dad. Like, well, I know I want to be a dad, but think you got to work through that communication. And again, for those individuals too, it's like you're going to have good years and you're going to have bad years, and they really do come around this 6th and 7th year for some strange reason. But then there's another time that comes around your 15th year. I don't know how many years you're married, but it fluctuates like that. Because there's at times where I love my wife, I kind of fell out of love my wife. I fell back in love with my life. She did the same thing to me, probably more than I even realized. But communicate, listen, do things with each other. But however, on the other side, you got to have your individual time, and she needs to have her individual time too. Don't forget you each other as your individual lives as well. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I mean, you still have to have time for yourself, because then you lose your identity. Your identity is part of your family, but it is still partially like you, this podcast stuff. You love this. I can tell that you're really passionate about this. I mean, how many series have you done so far?
How many interviews have I done?
Yeah, how many interviews?
I think I'm at 70.
70, brother. It's more than just a what's it called? It's more than just a quick hobby. Yeah, this is a little more than just a hobby.
For sure.
Definitely, though, brother. But again, like some of those things that I would go do MMA. I like MMA and stuff like that. My wife would leave me alone for that type stuff.
Yeah.
Probably something I need to get back into. That was also a stress reliever for me.
Yeah.
That was enough to kind of allow me to kind of regroup in myself. But I like writing too. I still write. Actually, I don't know if you checked out some of my early stuff on TikTok. There's a lot of my personal writings that I would put on there.
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot of quotes on there and some Memorial Day stuff. I actually just did a Memorial Day thing yesterday.
I saw it. It was nice. It was nice.
I wrote that myself. It's an original. Chris James is like, damn, this guy's a rock, and he's writing this stuff.
Yeah.
But it helps me though.
Yeah.
That was part of my PTSD kind of thing. Even though I wrote before I was in the military, I took a break. I took break off for years, and I started doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I took a break off for a while. Then, really over the last 4 years, I really started writing a lot again, and it just really helps. And then I make those videos kind of on top of it. I actually wanted to add that video there. I want to add some more pictures to it, but unfortunately, a lot of the pictures that I have, I don't have them anymore. I don't know where the hell my hard drives are. I don't know if it ain't on Facebook or some other stuff. It's like, damn. Another quick advice, family, take pictures, take memories. I know it's easy nowadays, right? Because this damn thing, but make memories, pictures. Being in the Army is the same way. Take pictures and memories, but save them. Unlike Sergeant James or old retired Master Sergeant James here, you can't find this shit. So yeah, I appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your day. It was a good one. I enjoyed it. And do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
No, brother, not right now. I think I really appreciate you doing this. This means a lot to our community as just the traditional conventional force community, because there's a lot of untold stories out there that doesn't get a lot of light, and this kind of brings back to, it's like, hey, there was more than just the SF and CAG and Delta guys and SEALs out there doing missions. Don't get me wrong, they did a lot of high intensity, high kinetic missions, but we were there every day. There's a lot of guys of us that were there every day for 12 months at a time. Sometimes we sat and did nothing for a month, but then there was like 2 months where it never stopped. And us conventional forces, I just tell people that I'm just a regular dude. You can look at whatever rackets you want, but at the end of the day, I'm just a regular guy. I just had a mission to do, and there's a lot of us out here that I think appreciate what you're doing and getting that story out there. And on that note, I really appreciate it.
For sure. Chris James, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Don't forget, we drop episodes every Wednesday. Hit us up on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow all of our social medias on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Leave us a comment, like, share, and thank you for all the support you've done so far. And with that, we'll catch you on the next episode.